Chapter 1730. At this moment, in the outer perimeter of the Five Fingers Mountain, Yin Shishing and the others gathered together and hid in a valley, avoiding the pursuit of the abyssal demons. The Five Fingers Mountain is right in front. Should we go in and explore it? There might be secret treasures and inheritances of saints inside. Someone made a suggestion wanting to go in. Many people were tempted. They had been hiding from the abyssal demons for so long just to sneak into the Five Fingers Mountain and obtain fortuitous encounters. Therefore they could not suppress their impulses. All right, let's go in and take a look. Yin Shishing nodded in agreement. So. The group of people immediately entered the periphery of the Five Finger Mountain, but they searched for a long time. There were mountains everywhere, but they still couldn't find any trace of the treasure. This situation made them extremely depressed. Damn it, where is the treasure of the sage? This is indeed a place where the sage sealed away. I can sense an extremely strong power here, but I can't find it. Could it be that we are not fated? Everyone was discussing spiritedly. They were very dejected. Yin Shishing's expression was extremely dark. He could not say anything. Another human has entered. Perhaps we can cause some trouble for that kid. Suddenly, in the depths of the Five Fingers Mountain, Supremacy Mental Demon sensed the aura of Yin Shishing and the others. With a thought, he split out a strand of aura and sent it in front of everyone. Although he was heavily injured, it was not a problem for him to use some teleportation mystiques. Boom! Yin Shishing and the others shuddered violently. They felt a star-like aura descend, crushing down on their bodies. They almost prostrated on the ground. Then a monk wearing a golden kasaya appeared before them. He clasped his hands together and said amiably, "Benefactors, this humble monk, Subhadhara, greets everyone. Supremacy, this is Supremacy Subhadhara." Heavens, could it be that Supremacy Subhadhara has not died completely? This is great. Our sincerity has finally moved the sage, causing him to take the initiative to appear. Yin Shishing and the others were overjoyed. They were almost dizzy from the joy of this huge fortuitous encounter. They immediately recalled their etiquette and clasped their hands together, greeting respectfully, "Supremacy. You can go back." Supremacy Mental Demon waved his hand. "This place is not fated with you. If you continue to stay here, you will be corroded by the demonic aura. At that time it will be too late for regrets. Not fated here." Yin Shishing and the others suffered a huge blow. They said unwillingly, "Venerable One, we're all very sincere. We've put in so much effort to reach this place. Don't you have anything to teach us?" "It's too late. All the treasures here have already been taken away by a human called Xia Ping. He is someone who has fate with Buddha. You guys are too late." Supremacy Mental Demon calmly tried to sow discord. "Xia Ping?" Hearing this familiar name, Yin Shishing's body shook violently. He simply didn't dare to believe what his ears had just heard. It can't be. Didn't this kid get chased by the demons and die a violent death? He actually managed to escape in time to enter the Five Fingers Mountain and obtain a Buddhist opportunity. Someone said unwillingly, "I can't accept this. I can't accept this. We've been chased by the demons for so long and suffered countless casualties. Yet we didn't get anything. Now all the benefits have been taken away by that kid. I can't accept this." Someone was extremely jealous. He immediately felt resentful towards Xia Ping for taking away all the treasures. "Venerable One, do we really not have a chance at all?" Yin Shishing asked unwillingly. "No. We don't have a chance at all," Supremacy Mental Demon said firmly. He wanted this group of people to feel despair. Only then could he incite everyone's hatred towards Xia Ping and bring him endless trouble. The word fate is mysterious. If you come early, it means that you are fated. If you come late, it means that you are not fated. If you come too late, it means that you are not fated with Buddha. You can't force it. Amit Ba. Hearing this, everyone was even more unwilling. If they had come earlier, the inheritance and treasures of this place wouldn't have fallen into Xia Ping's hands. "Venerable One, I've been good friends with Xia Ping for many years. I'm very worried about his safety. May I know where he is now?" Yin Shishing's eyes flashed coldly as he asked. "He's with his Tao companion Yi Mengyao. They've already left the Five Fingers Mountain. It just so happens that a spatial passage appeared in the distance. Perhaps they've already taken the opportunity to leave this secret realm." Supremacy Subhadhara did not hesitate to make Xia Ping hate him. "Tao companion Yi Mengyao? How is that possible?" Yin Shishing couldn't help but scream. This was the news he didn't want to hear the most. The goddess he had been pursuing for so long had actually been won by this little kid. How could he accept this? "Venerable One, did you see wrongly? Perhaps they aren't Tao companions?" Someone doubted. This poor monk didn't see wrongly. The two of them are Tao companions without a doubt. After staying in the Five Fingers Mountain for several days, the two of them often dual cultivated, improving together and assisting each other. Supremacy Mental Demon said lightly, "All right, I won't waste any more words with you. You've stayed in the Five Fingers Mountain long enough. Leave quickly." As soon as his voice fell, he didn't wait for these people to reply and waved his hand. Boom. In the next second, Yin Shirshing and the others were instantly teleported out of the Five Fingers Mountain without any ability to resist. The entire Five Fingers Mountain's enchantment turned into a sturdy barrier. No matter how hard they tried, they were blocked and unable to enter. What a shameless couple. They're actually so attached to each other. When did they hook up? Yin Shirshing was filled with grief and indignation. Maybe when they were fleeing, they met by chance and fought against the demons together. They went through life and death together and fell in love with each other. Someone guessed the reason why Xia Ping and Yi Mengyao got together. Bullshit, what do you mean love after a long time? I've known Yi Mengyao for so long, but I've never seen her fall in love with me. It's clear that that bitch has taken a fancy to that brat's future, so she doesn't know shame and hooked up with him. She's just a shameless woman. Yin Shirshing gritted his teeth. That Xia Ping is also a disciple of Heaven and Earth faction. He has a boundless future and is a young genius. It's not a big problem for Yi Mengyao to like him. Someone felt that they were a perfect match. What did you say? Yin Shirshing's eyes were filled with murderous intent as he stared at the person who spoke. No, what I actually mean is that the two of them are a pair of adulterers who have no sense of shame. In a place like this where demons run amok and danger lurks in every corner, they actually have the mood to do such a thing in broad daylight. It's simply despicable. I've really misjudged them. I didn't expect that the pure and clean saintess Yi Mengyao to be such a shameless woman. This is too disappointing. That person was very tactful and quickly changed his tone. Damn bitch Xia Ping, you stole my opportunity and stole my woman. This enmity is irreconcilable. I won't let you have it easy. Yin Shirshing's hatred was completely ignited by venerable inner demon. An inner demon was born and he clenched his fists tightly. But what should we do? Someone asked. What else do we need to do? Immediately spread the news that Xia Ping has obtained the inheritance of Venerable Subaderuo and a saint's treasure. At that time, there will be more than a street that wants to kill him. He's dead for sure in the heaven-accessing secret realm. Chapter 1731. Yin Shirshing and the others added fuel to the fire. Soon, all the cultivators in the heaven-accessing secret realm, as well as many outside forces, knew that Xia Ping had obtained the inheritance and secret treasure of Subadhara. Immediately this caused a huge commotion. Venerable Subhadra? The youngest Buddha in history. It said that in order to suppress the demon overlords, he willingly died. If he's still alive, he must be an invincible saint. Someone exclaimed. Such a genius was once heavily nurtured by the Buddhists. They had high hopes for him. He learned countless Buddhist techniques and even had countless adventures. The inheritance of such a person must be terrifying. It's unimaginable. Once upon a time, I also had the chance to enter that secret realm. That Five-Finger Mountain, but I didn't get anything. It seems that I really have no fate with the Buddhists. But this Xia Ping of the Heaven and Earth sect is too heaven-defying. He actually obtained Subadhara's inheritance and inherited Dark North Saint's mantle. His future is limitless. Most importantly, he obtained a saint's treasure. It might even be a saint implement. Damn it, a junior in the restoration realm actually has a chance to obtain a saint implement. Life is so unfair. Everyone discussed animatedly, and all of them were filled with envy, jealousy, and hatred. They wished for nothing more than to be able to obtain the inheritance of the Supreme Being and replace him. But there were also many demons and old monsters with evil intentions. They wanted to kill Xia Ping. In a secret realm where a saint had fallen, there was a lush forest everywhere. But this forest was full of murderous intent. In the darkness, countless blood-red eyes appeared. They were filled with murderous intent. They were all terrifying beasts from ancient times. At this time, an azure-robed Taoist walked in the forest. He gently waved his hand. Suddenly, countless trees on the ground were uprooted and turned into thorns. Immediately, these thorns pierced through the beasts as if they were barbecued. Their bodies exploded and a large amount of blood splashed out. Blood flowed like a river. But as soon as the blood dripped onto the ground, it was greedily devoured by the trees. These were all demonic trees. They contained a terrifying demonic nature that made people shudder. This green-robed Taoist was the famous Taoist Yi Mu, a Thunder Tribulation Realm cultivator in the Eastern Universe. He was a peerless demon who killed people like flies. Countless living beings had died at his hands. Interesting. A junior at the returning nature realm actually obtained the inheritance of Sabatala? Suddenly, Taoist Air Mu also received a lot of information. A cold light flashed in his eyes. Such a treasure is a bit too early for a junior. It's not a good thing to spoil things through excessive haste. Looks like I have to teach this adorable junior from the Jianghu sect a lesson about the cruelty of the universe. You can't do whatever you want just because you have the support of a saint. Although the threat of a sage was very terrifying, it was not enough to scare a Thunder Tribulation Realm powerhouse. After all, it was not a saint who was going to make a move personally. According to their strength, they were almost at the peak of mortals. What was there to be afraid of? Moreover, the universe was so big that even if he offended a saint, he could just find a random place to hide and the saint would not be able to find him. As a demon, he was used to being hunted down. Compared to those forces that had to take care of their families, he was extremely free and could do whatever he wanted. Whoosh! Taoist Air Mu's figure flashed and he immediately left where he was. In a barren mystic realm. At this moment, on a plain, this place had turned into a sea of blood. It was an ocean formed by blood, and it was filled with the aura of madness, slaughter, blood, and other things. It seemed to have a spiritual nature. And on the ground there were many skeletons. They were all dead ferocious beasts and demons from the abyss. The ground had been corroded by the sea of blood. It sizzled and not a single blade of grass grew. Clearly this sea of blood also contained a strong poison that could corrode rocks. Above the sea of blood stood two old men in red robes. They held large sabers in their hands and had ferocious looks on their faces. If someone saw these two old men, they would definitely be horrified. This was because they were the famous peerless demons of the southern universe, the Thunder Tribulation Realm powerhouses, the Blood Sea Two Elders. It was said that the two of them were biological brothers, and they came from a mystic realm called the Blood Sea. It was a terrifying organization that gave birth to countless demons, and the two of them were well-known figures in this organization. They were elder-like existences. Wherever the two of them went, there was no place without a storm of blood. Even a 3-year-old child would stop crying. Hehe, a junior actually has the inheritance and treasures of Sage Subadhara. Interesting. Big brother, why don't we rob him? He's just an ant in the returning reality realm. Brother, it's better to be careful. I heard that his master is the Dark North Saint. He's not the Dark North Saint. He's just a disciple. Even if he's a peerless genius, who knows how many peerless geniuses have fallen in this universe? He's not the only one. That's right. Sage Subadhara is said to be the most talented sage in Buddhism. His inheritance must be very shocking and we can't miss it. Maybe we can find an opportunity to become a sage from it. Alright then, let's go kill that kid and rob him of his opportunity. The eyes of the Blood Sea Two Elders revealed a cruel look. They laughed and said in unison. Deep in a valley in another mystic realm. Many monks gathered here. They clasped their hands and chanted Buddhist scriptures in a pious manner. Buddha light shone on their bodies, and no evil spirits dared to invade within a radius of 100,000 miles. And in the center of this group of monks, a 2-3-meter tall monk appeared. He held a butcher's knife and there was a scar on his face. A necklace formed from a string of skulls hung around his neck. Behind him, countless vengeful spirits and evil spirits appeared. Killing intent surged and one could vaguely see mountains of corpses and seas of blood. It was a scene that struck fear in the hearts of those who saw it. This was the famous Buddhist sect's monk Vansha, a lightning tribulation realm expert. He held a butcher's knife and his killing intent surged into the heavens. It was unknown how many demons and devils had died in his hands. He was different from ordinary monks. He had a belief and that was to kill. He wanted to kill all the demons and devils in the world. This caused countless devils to tremble in fear when they heard of him. Elder, the inheritance of Lord Reverend has appeared. It was obtained by a heaven and earth sect disciple. What should we do now? A monk asked. What else can we do? Retrieve it, immediately retrieve it. Monk Vansha's killing intent surged. This inheritance belongs to our Buddhist sect. It is a divine ability of our Buddhist sect. We must not let it fall into the outside world and be obtained by others. Convince him to convert to the Buddhist sect first. If he agrees, he will be one of us. Everything can be discussed. If he doesn't obey and still resists stubbornly, he will be a devil. Kill him, kill him. Yes, Elder. All the monks felt a chill. Chapter 1732. At this time, Xia Ping had no idea what was going on in the outside world. He came out of the Five-Finger Mountain to avoid Yi Mingyao's pursuit. Although Yi Mingyao was very powerful, Xia Ping used the formless mask to change his appearance and hide his aura. He easily hid and became invisible. Then Xia Ping came to a remote cave and hid there. He began to cultivate in seclusion, not knowing what was going on in the outside world. What happened just now? Xia Ping sat down cross-legged and closed his eyes to rest. His consciousness immediately sank into the depths of his Yuan spirit. Previously he had been avoiding Yi Mingyao's pursuit, so he had no time to organize his gains. This time he finally had time to do so. Boom! Immediately, a strange vortex appeared in Xia Ping's left eye. His Yuan spirit immediately entered the underworld god space. Then he saw an old man bound by countless iron chains in the center of the underworld god space. He was nailed to a cross and could barely move. He also knew this old man. It was Sovereign Mental Demon. Previously, Sovereign Mental Demon had wanted to use a strand of his Yuan spirit to take over his body. Unexpectedly, it was completely devoured by the underworld god's eye and even suppressed. Seeing Xia Ping appear, Sovereign Mental Demon became extremely agitated. He shouted, "Stupid human, release me immediately. Do you know how great of a being you have offended? Once I break free it will be your doom. Doom, do you understand?" Noisy. Xia Ping couldn't be bothered to talk to Sovereign Mental Demon's Yuan spirit. With a thought, the entire underworld god space trembled. This seemed to be an instinctive divine ability that produced the power of a vortex. Whoosh! Instantly the chains binding Sovereign Mental Demon trembled. In an instant his body was torn apart and turned into countless pieces. Then they were sucked into the depths of the vortex to be digested and devoured. Xia Ping felt his Yuan spirit tremble. After devouring Sovereign Mental Demon's Yuan spirit, it seemed as if the other party's majestic and pure soul energy, as well as a portion of his countless years of experience and knowledge, were madly surging into the depths of his Yuan spirit. He felt that his Yuan spirit had undergone an earth-shattering change. It was as if it had been baptized and became stronger. At the same time, a portion of Sovereign Mental Demon's soul energy was integrated into it. This is the power of inner demons? Xia Ping sat cross-legged on the ground. His divine sense subconsciously spread out, sensing all the plants, beasts and abyssal demons within a million miles radius. These beings unconsciously gave off waves of life force fluctuations, intense emotions and emotions. He could clearly sense all of these things. I see. At this moment Xia Ping understood something. These insights regarding heart demons as well as the spatial quintessence of illusions that he had comprehended previously, fused together, causing his mastery of illusions to soar by leaps and bounds. In an instant he had reached the advanced realm of the first level of illusions. One needs to know that the first level of illusion is one thought, one world. Previously Xia Ping was only at the elementary realm. At this elementary realm he could only create realistic objects, such as rocks, soil, rivers, wind, lightning and so on. But once he reached the intermediate realm, he could create the flesh and blood of various major races in the universe. He could kill people in this illusion world, and he could even feel blood splattering and flesh being cut by swords. At the advanced realm, he could bestow these beings with spirituality and even allow these illusory beings to have their own consciousness. They could communicate with each other just like artificial intelligence. Clearly, after obtaining Sovereign Mental Demon's understanding of inner demons, Xia Ping's understanding of the spatial quintessence of illusions had improved by leaps and bounds. He had comprehended a trace of the true essence of the soul and emotions, allowing these illusory beings to have their own consciousness. Boom! Thinking of this, Xia Ping's mind moved. His divine sense shrouded a radius of 100 miles, causing the surrounding air to distort. Suddenly, a small town appeared out of thin air, housing a population of 30,000. There were mills, windmills, water wheels, residential houses, inns, government buildings, prisons and so on. There were even many people in this small town, including the elderly, children, adults, men, women and so on. These people were tall, short, fat, thin and had different personalities. These people lived in the nameless town, working at sunrise and resting at sunset. They lived peacefully, no different from an ordinary and peaceful town. There were noises everywhere. What a strong illusion power. Even though Xia Ping had expected this, he was still shocked by the power of his own illusion. If he hadn't known beforehand that this was fake, he would have believed it to be real. Because the intelligence of these virtual characters was too high, just like real life. On the streets, there were hawkers haggling with customers, neighbors quarreling with shrews, people going to court for trials and police patrolling the streets. Everything seemed incomparably real. In fact, if one were to talk to these virtual characters, they would be able to answer fluently without any abnormalities. Originally, if Xia Ping wanted to reach this level of illusion, it would be impossible without thousands or even tens of thousands of years of experience and tempering. This required one to experience all kinds of life experiences. However, after devouring a wisp of sovereign mental demon soul, he obtained a portion of its memories. One must know that this was sovereign mental demon, a demon overlord that had lived for God knows how long. Some people even said that it was an existence of a heart demon, wandering around the universe and stirring up fights everywhere. Such a tyrannical character had an extremely rich life experience. It had once incarnated as various characters in society: hawkers, scholars, officials, bodyguards, servants, killers, thieves, and so on. It had incarnated as almost every profession and character, mingling in the crowd and greedily devouring the power of the people's heart demons. This was also the food that allowed it to constantly grow stronger. One could imagine that even a portion of sovereign mental demon's memories was enough for Xia Ping to benefit greatly, possessing the power of illusion to create a virtual life. In fact, Xia Ping did not create an illusory life from nothing. This was no longer the first level of illusion power, but a higher level of illusion power. The reason why such a situation occurred was because he had directly instilled the mental demon supremacy's memories of ordinary people into these virtual characters. It was as if they had obtained a new life and had taken over their bodies. That was why it felt so real. Nonetheless, if he wanted to maintain such a massive illusory barrier and make every spot extremely realistic, the consumption of his divine sense power was too great. Even with his 9 Cs of consciousness, he could not maintain it for too long. At most, he could only maintain it for 3 hours. However, having so much time was more than enough. If he used this illusion at a critical moment, even a lightning tribulation almighty would probably fall for it. Chapter 1733. What is this? Xia Ping continued to immerse himself in his primordial spirit cultivation, but all of a sudden, he realized that a golden light had appeared in the depths of his primordial spirit. It seemed to be a golden seed that had been planted in the depths of his primordial spirit. This golden seed was extremely mystical and powerful. It vaguely showed the swastika symbol, as if there were dense Buddhist runes engraved in the depths of it. He felt that this golden seed seemed to be a divine ability seed. Where did this come from? At the thought of this, Xia Ping sent his consciousness into the golden seed. With a boom, his body shook violently as if there was a thunderous roar. Immediately, a huge flow of information flowed out of the golden seed and into the depths of Xia Ping's primordial spirit. It was a golden scripture engraved with dense words. It was unfathomable and emitted the aura of Buddha. Vaguely, his entire body was surrounded by a ball of golden light, as if he was bathed in Buddhist light. It was sacred and solemn. Expiation Scripture. Xia Ping immediately understood that this divine ability seed was the supreme inheritance of Supremacy Subaderuo, which recorded a supreme sutra of the Buddhist sects, the Expiation Sutra. When did I get the inheritance? He was a little confused. He didn't know when he received the inheritance of Lord Subatatara, but he suddenly had a flash of inspiration. It seemed that when he and Yi Mengyao were dual cultivating, a golden figure appeared beside them. Perhaps that was the real Lord Subatatara, but he didn't say much. Master, you've actually obtained the expiation scripture. This is one of the supreme inheritances of the Buddhist sects, a supreme treasure, a supreme treasure. The Green Bull also knew that Xia Ping had obtained the inheritance of the Buddhist sects and was instantly overjoyed. It explained in detail that the strongest divine ability of the Buddhist sects was none other than force. With an unparalleled martial Tao divine ability, one could subdue demons like a Vajra Arhat with boundless strength and unparalleled combat power. The other was the power of expiation, which could make people devout and put down the butcher's knife to become a Buddha. It was rumored that the true eminent monks of the Buddhist sects cultivated the expiation scripture and could expiate everything in the world, converting to Buddha. Even if they were mortal enemies, once expiated, they would let go of all their hatred. So powerful? Xia Ping was taken aback. To think that even his mortal enemies could be enlightened. What was the difference between this and brainwashing? It was simply turning his enemies into his slaves, making them unable to break free for the rest of their lives and losing their sense of self. It was no wonder that countless forces were extremely vigilant and fearful of the Buddhist sect. Once one was enlightened by an eminent monk of the Buddhist sect, one's life and death would be out of one's control. Of course, the Expiation Sutra is powerful. It's a secret of the Buddhist sections. Corinne also sighed with emotion and said, It is said that in ancient times, Venerable Subhadra once used the expiation scripture and remained motionless, chanting sutras for 3 days and 3 nights. As a result, he expiated hundreds of millions of abyssal demons, making them change sides and play an incomparably important role. In one fell swoop, he reversed the situation of the war, making numerous demon overlords shocked and terrified, making them want to kill him as soon as possible. He can even enlighten abyss demons? Xia Ping was filled with admiration. It seemed like this sutra was truly incredible. It was no different from the legendary Mahayana Sutra. He didn't expect that he would be able to obtain a Buddhist inheritance like Subhadhara. It seemed that he absolutely couldn't reveal that he possessed this Buddhist magical power. Otherwise, he would definitely be hunted down by the eminent monks of the Buddhist sect and take back this amazing magical power that was not passed down. Boom. Thinking of this, he sat down cross-legged and immersed his primordial spirit in the depths of this Buddhist magical power seed. Immediately, Buddhist sutras appeared one after another and surged into the depths of his primordial spirit. Vaguely, a huge golden Buddha appeared in the depths of his mind, constantly chanting sutras. Every time it said a sentence, its voice condensed into substance and turned into golden characters that seeped into his soul, allowing him to quickly understand the mysteries of the sutra. Such a cultivation method was simply enlightening, imparting one's life's worth of experience to others. Immediately, his entire body was shrouded in Buddhist light, and circles of golden light appeared. Buddhist Sanskrit sounded in the depths of the void, and it was as if there were countless strange phenomena in the surroundings. Lotus flowers bloomed and emitted a strange fragrance. And this light was the expiation light. It was said that even sinners who were shrouded in the expiation light would quickly be expiated and turned into devout Buddhists. At this moment, when Xia Ping successfully condensed the Expiation Sutra and turned it into a mystical talisman in the shape of a swastika, the world tree in the depths of his mind suddenly trembled. It seemed to have sensed a supreme delicacy and countless roots trembled. In the blink of an eye, many roots flew over. Dong. All of a sudden, a root of the world tree penetrated the mystical talisman and produced a huge suction force. It seemed to be continuously devouring the Buddhist light and the supreme mysteries of the Expiation Sutra. In just a short while, the body of the world tree was immediately covered in dense Buddhist runes that were pale gold in color. It was as if pieces of Buddhist sutras were branded on it, emitting a sacred and auspicious aura. It's fused? Xia Ping blinked his eyes. He didn't expect such a change to happen. The Expiation Sutra that he had painstakingly cultivated successfully was actually devoured by the world tree. Of course, he didn't feel that his condensed Expiation Sutra had disappeared. Instead, it had fused with the world tree. In fact, the power of the Expiation Sutra had become more condensed and mystical. It had also fused with the power of the world tree and seemed to be more than 10 times stronger than before. Interesting. At the thought of this, Xia Ping couldn't suppress his desire to test out the Expiation Sutra. In a flash, he immediately left the cave where he was cultivating in seclusion and headed to other places to capture abyssal demons. Fortunately, this was a mystic realm formed by Supremacy Subhadharo, and there were countless abyssal demons imprisoned here. Hence, he discovered hundreds of abyssal demons in just a short while. Without saying anything, he immediately made a move and executed his mystical powers to capture those abyssal demons alive. Lowly human, what are you trying to do? Release us immediately. Do you know that our army of demons is nearby? Once we give the order, you will immediately turn into powder and die without a complete corpse. Do you understand? Damned human, I will definitely kill you. I will kill you. Many abyssal demons cursed and were filled with murderous intent. Even though they were captured alive, they didn't change their ferocity at all. Instead, all of them threatened fearlessly. They struggled frantically and tried to break free from their restraints. However, it was to no avail. The power of Xia Ping's mystical powers far surpassed theirs, and he had an overwhelming advantage. As expected of the abyssal demons, they are indeed ferocious by nature. However, I wonder what will happen to you after you are expiated. Chapter 1734. Expiation. Xia Ping formed a seal with both hands and activated the Expiation Sutra. Suddenly, a golden talisman condensed in the void like a round sun, absorbing bursts of Buddhist light from the depths of the void. Vaguely, there seemed to be countless Buddhas appearing in the depths of the void. They sat cross-legged on lotus platforms and emitted boundless golden light, dyeing the surroundings into a quiet and peaceful golden domain. The Buddhist light was the expiation light evolved from the Expiation Sutra and did not have any offensive power. Whoosh, the Buddhist light shone like the sun and completely enveloped the group of abyssal demons. Ah! Immediately the abyssal demons let out shrill cries. Like snow meeting sunlight, they melted and corroded, making sizzling sounds. However, the Buddhist light could not penetrate the depths of the abyssal demons' souls. It seems like it's not that easy to break through the soul barrier. Xia Ping revealed a look of understanding. The stronger the cultivation level of a cultivator, the firmer their willpower and the stronger the soul barrier. It was extremely difficult to break through. Besides, the abyssal demons were all terrifying creatures born from the abyss. After countless killings, their willpower was as strong as steel and stronger than ordinary cultivators. Expiating these abyssal demons was as difficult as ascending to heaven. If expiation was really that easy, the entire universe would belong to the Buddhist sections. In fact, there were countless Buddhist sages in the history of the Buddhist sects, but only Supremacy Subhadhara cultivated the Expiation Sutra to the highest realm. With a thought, he expiated countless abyssal demons, which was enough to show how profound his dharma was. However, ordinary Buddhist disciples could only enlighten cultivators who were 3 levels lower than them. Unless the other party was willing to let go of their soul defenses and be expiated by the Buddhist sects, they could only expiate cultivators of the same level. Of course, if the other party was a level lower than them, they could not be expiated even if they were willing. Wait, there might be a way. Xia Ping thought about the world tree in the depths of his sea of consciousness. It had devoured the power of the Expiation Sutra and also possessed the power of expiation. Perhaps he could make use of the world tree to strengthen the power of the Expiation Sutra. At the thought of this, he immediately took action. Boom! Immediately, the silhouette of the world tree appeared above his head. A towering, lush tree descended from the sky, exuding a godly aura. Xiao xiao xiao. In an instant, under the control of Xia Ping's mind, the roots of the world tree shot out like lightning, piercing through the soul barrier of these abyssal demons and penetrating into the depths of their souls. Expiate. Xia Ping circulated the Expiation Sutra and imbued the light of expiation on the souls of these abyssal demons in time. Sure enough, this time, the bodies of the abyssal demons present shook, and they opened their hearts. Endless Buddhist light instantly surged in. In just a few breaths of time, the souls of these abyssal demons had undergone earth-shattering changes. Originally, their souls were black and contained the auras of slaughter, savagery, cruelty, madness, and so on. However, at this moment, after being illuminated and eroded by the Buddhist light, his soul had undergone a change and was now faintly golden in color. Originally, these abyssal demons had been incomparably vicious and filled with hatred and killing intent towards Xia Ping. But now all of that vanished. Their expressions were unprecedentedly gentle. Instead, they were incomparably grateful and loyal to Xia Ping, as though he was their master. That was the power of the Expiation Sutra. Once they were enlightened, even if they were enemies who had killed their father, they would still be grateful to you and be loyal to you until the day they die. An hour later, the hundreds of abyssal demons present were completely expiated. Their souls were faintly golden in color and emitted rings of Buddhist light that were incomparably sacred. Their originally hideous bodies were also shrouded in Buddhist light at this moment, condensing into a layer of golden kasaya. They bowed with their hands clasped together, and their faces revealed a look of enlightenment. They were unprecedentedly calm. It was as though a ferocious tiger had turned into a kitten and had completely lost its lethality. How do you guys feel now? Xia Ping asked curiously. Thank you, Master. We are unprecedentedly calm, just like an ancient pond. Thank you, Master, for eliminating our sins. At this moment, my heart is filled with love and warmth. We actually did such an overboard thing in the past. It's truly a heinous crime. Thank you, Master, for expiating us so that we can be reborn. From now on, we will be Master's slaves and do whatever you want us to do. This is a new life, a rebirth. This feeling is unprecedentedly good. I've never felt so calm in my life, and the depths of my mind are no longer affected by the murderous intent. I hope that Master can forgive our sins. In the future, we will cultivate diligently and do good every day to make up for our past mistakes. We will abstain from meat and pray to Buddha and no longer kill. One by one, the abyssal demons bowed with their hands clasped together, all of them like eminent monks who had attained enlightenment. Oh my God, what exactly happened? The green bull also saw this scene and was dumbfounded. Even though he had followed the mountain river saint for a long time, he had never seen such a scene. The mortal enemy of all the races in the world, the demons from the abyss, were cruel and ruthless and killed people like flies. They were out-and-out demons without any humanity. Now they actually said that they would do good every day, abstain from meat, pray to Buddha, and no longer kill. This was no different from a tiger not eating meat and changing its profession to eating grass. If someone dared to say such a thing to him, he would definitely smash him with a brick. Who asked that bastard to lie to me? Does he think I'm a 3-year-old child who would believe anything? Fuck, I've seen a ghost. Corinne was also startled. He stroked his grizzled beard and almost pulled out his own beard. To be honest, he also thought that he was experienced and knowledgeable, but he had never seen such a thing. Could this be the true power of the expiation scripture? It's too unbelievable. Back then he had expiated billions of abyssal demons with a single thought. The elegance of Subadarua was evident. He immediately felt a deep fear towards the eminent monks of the Buddhist sect. If he was expiated like this and converted to Buddhism, he would lose his sense of self. He would rather die. Not bad, not bad. It seems that you have achieved enlightenment. Forget about the past. In the future, work for me well and pay for the sins that you have committed in the past. Xiaoping was very satisfied. After these abyssal demons were expiated, they were simply the best fighters and meat shields. Moreover, they were death warriors and they could die for him. If hundreds or thousands of abyssal demons used the great disintegration technique and self-destructed on the spot, that kind of power would probably cause serious injuries even to Thunder Tribulation Realm mighty figures. I have to capture a large number of abyssal demons. Chapter 1735. In the beginning, Xiaoping was very familiar with expiating the abyssal demons. He could only expiate 100 demons at a time and it would take him an hour. However, as he became more familiar with the expiation sutra, his efficiency increased. His efficiency in purifying the abyss demons had increased. He could purify tens of thousands of demons in one go, and it only took him 3 minutes. Of course, he could only expiate the Restoration Realm abyssal demons. He could barely expiate the Transcendence Realm demons, but it would take a lot of time. As for the Thunder Tribulation Realm abyssal demons, they were existences that he could not expiate at the moment. This was because the expiation light was closely related to spiritual consciousness power. If he was not strong enough, he could not expiate them even if they were willing. In the blink of an eye, a month and a half had passed. Xiaoping had been in the heaven-accessing secret land for 2 months. He had spent most of his time in this secret land world. Of course, his results were also very shocking. This time he had expiated 50 million abyssal demons. Among them, 1 million were at the Transcendence Realm, while the rest were basically at the Golden Elixir Realm or the Restoration Realm. If these abyssal demons were released, it would be a disaster. There would be countless deaths and injuries. Alright, with these 50 million abyssal demons I can basically do whatever I want. Xiaoping was very excited. If these 50 million abyssal demons self-destructed at the same time, even hundreds of Thunder Tribulation Realm experts would be blown to death. The area within a radius of hundreds of millions of kilometers would be razed to the ground. Ordinary Buddhist monks would probably not be able to do such a thing even if they were exhausted to death. After all, it was extremely difficult to break through the soul barrier of the abyssal demons. However, Xiaoping was different. He had the Tree of World and could forcibly break through the soul barrier of the abyssal demons. He could instill the expiation light into them, which was extremely domineering. Therefore, his efficiency in expiating the abyssal demons was extremely high. None of the abyssal demons that were weaker than him could resist him. If his cultivation improved further, he could even easily expiate the Thunder Tribulation Realm abyssal demons. By the way, Corinne, did anything happen in the heaven-accessing secret land recently? After doing these things, Xiaoping felt that there was no need to continue staying in this secret land world. After all, there was still a month before he had to leave the heaven-accessing secret land. There was no need to continue wasting time. Therefore, he wanted to know what had happened in the heaven-accessing secret land recently. Earlier, Cosmos Faction Sect Master Zhu Xian sent me a communication request. However, because you were in seclusion, I did not reply to him. Even so, he still left you a message. Immortal Cat said. What information? Xiaoping asked. Corinne tapped lightly, and suddenly a virtual image was projected. It's about the information about you getting the inheritance of Sabatra Tualuo. Now everyone knows about it. There are countless people in the heaven-accessing place who want to kill you. What? Who was the one who leaked this information? Xiaoping raised his eyebrows. If he hadn't gone into closed-door cultivation, even he wouldn't have known that he had obtained Supremacy Sabatala's inheritance. Who would have known about this? I'm not sure. In any case, the first person to spread the news was Yin Shirshing, a true disciple of the Five Elements sect. Corinne said in a deep voice. It's that kid. Xiaoping rubbed his chin. That makes sense. Perhaps he saw me coming out of the Five Fingers Mountain and thought that I had obtained Suvartala's inheritance. Perhaps to him, it doesn't matter whether I get the inheritance or not. In any case, he's spreading rumors to cause trouble for me. Anyway, he has nothing to lose. He didn't expect Yin Shishing to be so persistent and even cause trouble for him. Xia Ping looked over and discovered that the forum regarding the heaven accessing place was filled with Yin Shishing's posts. They were wantonly spreading rumors and slandering his reputation. However, this kid was very cunning. He didn't use low-level methods to discredit him, but to put on a high hat for him. For example, there was a post that said, "I really admire junior brother Xia's luck. I never thought that after casually entering a secret realm world, I would be able to obtain the inheritance of Venerable Su Badwa, as well as 7 or 8 saint artifacts. I might even have obtained dozens of longevity fruit. Comparing people to people is really infuriating. There's no way to compare it all." Without batting an eyelid, he said that Xia Ping had the inheritance of Sabatra Tualuo, revealing a huge secret. A bunch of people were replying. Is that true? He actually obtained the inheritance of Subadhara. He even obtained 7 or 8 holy artifacts. That's too exaggerated. Is he bragging? I've never seen such a lucky person. Many people couldn't believe it. Yin Shishing immediately replied, "It's fine if you don't believe me. I didn't believe it at the beginning either, but facts speak louder than words. If you have the chance to meet junior brother Xia, you will know how rich he is. What's a holy artifact? He even has a few pre-celestial magic treasure. I'm telling you, if he takes them out, you will be scared to death." He was bragging, not afraid of his bragging and malicious flattery. In any case, no matter how big the blame was placed on Xia Ping, it had nothing to do with him. If someone listened to these words and went to find trouble with Xia Ping, killing him and stealing his treasures, that would be for the best. The group of people were instantly amazed. They also started to believe it a little and were extremely moved. Because according to Yin Shishing's description, Xia Ping was a walking super treasure trove. He had countless treasures on him, including 7 or 8 holy artifacts, 2 or 3 pre-celestial magic treasure, countless spirit weapons, and a pile of 10,000-year-old elixirs. He was so lucky that he could pick up a 10,000-year-old ginseng just by walking a few steps. Yin Shishing sighed, "To tell you the truth, junior brother Xia is really a person with great luck. His cultivation is profound and his combat strength is powerful. I'm afraid that among the younger generation, if he says he's the second, no one would dare to say they're the first. It's certain that he'll become a sage. Although I'm also a disciple of a sage, I'm afraid I can only hang around with him in the future, otherwise I won't have a future. I admit defeat to junior brother Xia. If the heavens didn't give birth to Xia Ping, it would be like a long night." Keep bragging. Yin Shishing, you're exaggerating a little too much. That kid is indeed powerful, but he doesn't dare to say that he's the best among the younger generation. That's right. The universe is so big, there are countless races and geniuses. That guy dares to say that he's the best in the world? Does he have such a big head to wear that hat? Yin Shishing, you're a dignified 5-element sect successor disciple, yet you're acting like this, bowing to your competitor. You're really disappointing. Do you have any dignity? Do you have any competitive mentality? Immediately, many people were unconvinced. They felt that Yin Shishing was exaggerating. Hehe, you haven't seen junior brother Xia before, that's because you don't know how powerful he is. What are those so-called geniuses? They're not even worthy to carry junior brother Xia's shoes. Do you understand? I have nothing to say to you frogs at the bottom of a well. If you have the guts, take 2 steps with your so-called geniuses. I'm afraid you won't even be able to take 3 punches from junior brother Xia. Chapter 1736. Hearing these words, the whole forum was in an uproar. Because it was not only human beings who inquired about the news of the heaven-accessing secret land in this forum. Even creatures of all races appeared in this place and paid attention to the latest news. Now, someone dared to claim to be the first among the young generation in the world. As geniuses of their respective races, they were extremely proud. How could they bear it? All of them stepped forward to clamor, refute, and even curse. Some people were irritated and planned to fight with Xia Ping to see who was the first among the young generation. Reading these replies, Yin Shishing felt even more comfortable. He had inadvertently brought great trouble to this guy and attracted a lot of hatred. He couldn't wait to see this guy's face turn green. But he was not done yet. He continued to defame Xia Ping. Of course, compared to his combat capability, his flirting skills are superb. No one may be convinced that he is the first in the world, but few dare to say that he is the second in the world. This is a fact I saw with my own eyes. He has only been in the heaven-accessing secret land for a few days, but this guy has hooked up with Yi Mengyao, the holy virgin of the Lingyun sect. They are so intimate that it makes people blush. This speed of progress is incredible. Even takeout can't be so fast. Saying these words, his heart was bleeding as if someone had stabbed him in the heart several times. Yi Mengyao was the goddess he had pursued for many years, but he had never succeeded. She didn't even like him. But now this kid had succeeded in a few days. Was there any justice? He gritted his teeth. His hatred for Xia Ping could turn into resentment, dark clouds and thunder. Yi Mengyao? The holy virgin of the fairy clan of the Lingyun sect. Really? She is like a goddess. She is proud and arrogant. I don't know how many young heroes she has rejected. Now she has been hooked up by a kid. Is there any justice? I don't believe it. This news must be fake. It must be fake. Hearing this gossip, many people were stunned, especially some of Yi Mingyao's admirers and pursuers. They could not believe this cruel truth. This matter is even more real than a pearl. I saw it with my own eyes and there were many witnesses. Yin Shishing sneered, of course there is one thing that Yi Mengyao might not know. Xia Ping is a playboy by nature. He likes to flirt with flowers and grass everywhere, seducing women from good families. His promiscuity is well known in Universe sect. Not long after he entered the sect, he already made quite a few beautiful senior sisters pregnant, and they fought for his affections. He maliciously spread rumors. Beast. Someone cursed, you've just entered the sect and you're already seducing senior sisters and several of them at that. Are you still human? Don't you have any morals? Furthermore, you already have so many beauties, yet you still dare to provoke senior sister Yi. This is too much. This is nothing. Seeing the crowd's emotions surging, Yin Shishing continued to add oil to the fire. I heard that many of Yi Mingyao's close friends have been harmed by Xia Ping. Of course this is a secret. Xia Ping told me to keep it a secret, so don't tell anyone else. Some people were speechless. They had already replied publicly on the forum, yet he still wanted them to keep it a secret. What the hell? Everyone in the world knew about it. This was just trying to cover one's ears while stealing a bell. Beast. Someone roared into the sky. As the saying goes, a rabbit doesn't eat the grass near its nest. This bastard has eaten all the grass near its nest, not leaving a single drop. He even defiled her close friends. How inhumane. Moreover, Yi Mengyao hasn't even found out about this yet. How can there be such a beast? Those close friends are also despicable. Don't they know that they will let down their friends? They even did such a thing with this bastard? They can't even clap with one hand. Sigh, there aren't many true close friends these days. Guard against fire, thieves and girlfriends. Haven't you heard of this before? Some women are like this. They don't want status, they don't want results, they just want a moment of pleasure. Fuck, why don't I have such a woman by my side? Wait, Yi Mingyao's close friends? Her close friends are not simple. They are all goddesses of the major families and the saintesses of the major sections. All of them are beautiful like fairies. Some are even married and have children. Which one of them was defiled? Big news, this is earth-shattering news. If a certain saintess was defiled and her husband didn't know about it, then even the sky would be torn apart. Hearing this gossip, countless people immediately became excited. This was much more sensational than the news of obtaining a treasure. It was the nature of living beings to join in the fun. No one could change it. At this moment, Yin Shishing was feeling guilty. He was sweating profusely because he saw that these discussions were getting more and more ridiculous. It seemed to involve many saintesses of the various sections. Each of them had many suitors and countless fans. If these saintesses knew what he said, they wouldn't even need to do anything. Just his suitors alone would be able to kill him countless times. He had caused too much trouble. Even he couldn't handle it. Thus, Yin Shishing didn't dare to continue spreading rumors and quickly disappeared. No matter how others called him, he decided not to reply and stay out of it. Of course, Xia Ping didn't know what Yin Shishing was thinking. He only saw many posts on the forum denouncing him. All of them were filled with righteous indignation and saw him as an unforgivable villain. There were also many people with ulterior motives who saw him as a fat sheep. They wanted to kill him and steal his treasures. But for the past month, he had been in the secret realm of Sabaduo. His whereabouts were hidden and no one knew where he was. This Yin Shishing has caused me a lot of trouble. Xia Ping narrowed his eyes and revealed a trace of killing intent. If I don't repay this kid, he won't know how powerful he is. He decided to teach Yin Shishing a lesson. Master, You must be more careful this time. The green ox said in a deep voice. This time the ones who are targeting Master are all old monsters, old devils such as the wolf clan's Wolf Garen, the Taoist of the Evil Wood, the two elders of the Blood Sea, the Killing Monk, and so on. These are all famous Thunder Tribulation Realm experts who have lived for tens of thousands of years. No one knows what methods they have. Don't worry, I won't foolishly fight them head on. It's the right thing to do to put a knife in the dark. They want to kill me and snatch my treasures. Right now, I still don't know who is the prey and who is the hunter. Xia Ping said indifferently. Hearing this, the green ox and Corinne heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Xia Ping was not impulsive and arrogant, and fought to the death with those old monsters. Otherwise, who knew what would happen? If Xia Ping didn't court death with his trump card, he wouldn't be afraid of these people. But right now, I still have to think of a way to leave this secret realm and search for the longevity fruit. Chapter 1737. There's no other way. I'll just use the wish compass. Xia Ping decided to use the power of the wish compass to find the location of the longevity fruit. Previously, he did not plan to use it. After all, every time he used it, it would consume a portion of the wish compass's power. If it wasn't for the most critical moment, he wouldn't use it so easily. But now that there was still a month before he left the heaven-reaching secret realm, he had no other choice. Boom! Thinking of this, Xia Ping did not hesitate and immediately took out the wish compass, and imbued the idea into it. Immediately, its pointer spun rapidly, trembling non-stop, and pointed towards the northeast. Let's go. Xia Ping immediately flew in the direction of the needle. After flying for tens of thousands of kilometers, he finally found a random spatial tunnel that led out of this secret realm. Whiz! In a flash, he immediately passed through the spatial tunnel and left the secret realm. A few days later, relying on the guidance of the wish compass, Xia Ping moved forward in the heaven-reaching secret realm, crossing mountains and ridges. He did not know how many kilometers he had flown, but he had almost crossed half of the world. Of course, if he had gone straight, he would have been able to reach his destination very quickly. But now that he was very famous in the heaven-reaching secret realm, he had to be careful, hide everywhere, and conceal his whereabouts so that no one else would discover him. Otherwise, he would definitely attract the attacks of countless old monsters. At that time, it would be very troublesome. This is the place. Just then Xia Ping was overjoyed. He arrived in front of a mountain range and discovered that there were many tyrannical auras gathered here. All of them were at least at the peak of the Dharma plane. Most of them were Thunder Tribulation Realm experts, and their mana was earth-shattering. Whiz! Without saying a word, he immediately used the non-phase mask to turn himself into a piece of broken stone, concealing the aura on his body so that this group of Thunder Tribulation Realm experts wouldn't discover his existence. These are all famous devils or old monsters. Xia Ping hid in the shadows and observed the auras and appearances of these supreme experts, comparing them with the information he had obtained. The identities of these old monsters could not be hidden at all. After all of them had been roaming the universe for tens of thousands of years and had made a name for themselves. Any organization with a bit of power would collect their information. Although the Jianghu sect was a saint-tier sect, they were still very attentive to this aspect of information. They were constantly gathering it, and this information naturally fell into Xia Ping's hands. That's the Blood Sea Elders, Taoist Emu, Golden Snake Gentleman, Long-Eyebrowed Old Devil? Xia Ping raised his eyebrows. He discovered that this group of Thunder Retribution Realm experts were all famous devils in the universe. They killed people like flies. Every one of them was an existence that made people tremble in fear. Moreover, these demons were temperamental. They would often kill people over a small matter, massacring cities and exterminating entire clans. They were extremely cruel. He could sense that these demons were entangled by many vengeful spirits. It was like a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. The demonic energy was as black as charcoal, comparable to the demons of the abyss. Of course, because they had killed too many people and cultivated demonic arts, their heavenly tribulations were even more terrifying than ordinary cultivators. They lived more carefully, afraid that they would trigger heavenly tribulations and be struck to death by them. Taoist priest Ermu, are you sure this place has longevity fruit? At this moment, someone spoke, looking at the green-robed elder. Of course, this information is confirmed. Taoist Ermu smiled. There's an eternal spatial coordinate here that connects to a mystic realm world. This mystic realm world was formed after the famous demon sage Green Willow died. Demon sage Green Willow? Hearing this, the eyes of the old monsters present lit up with excitement. I believe everyone knows about the existence of a miraculous fruit like the longevity fruit. Consuming one can increase one's lifespan by 10,000 years. If there is an alchemy grandmaster who refines it into a top-grade longevity pill, it will increase one's lifespan even more. Taoist priest Mu said, but the conditions for the longevity fruit to grow are extremely harsh. It needs to devour a large amount of strange objects that contain life force. It takes 3,000 years to bloom, 3,000 years to bear fruit, and 3,000 years to mature. Let's not talk about how long it takes for it to grow, just the environment it grows in is extremely difficult to find. It must contain abundant life force, but such places are extremely rare in the world. At this point he changed the topic. But there is one place that definitely has longevity fruit, and that is the secret realm world formed after the fall of the saint. This is because this kind of secret realm world is filled with the blood essence left behind by the saint. If the longevity fruit seed absorbs the blood essence of these saints, it will immediately obtain a large amount of energy and promote its growth, allowing it to grow a large number of longevity fruit. He revealed some of the secrets of the heavenly secret realm. The reason why the heavenly secret realm produced a large number of longevity fruit was because there were too many saints who had fallen in this place, leaving behind a secret realm world. And these secret realm worlds hid the life essence of the saints. In these places of essence, longevity trees were born one after another, and longevity fruits were born one after another. Of course, not all of the secret realms had longevity fruits. However, even if only a portion of the secret realm world grew, it was enough to attract the attention of countless old monsters who were about to reach the end of their lifespans. We all know this common sense. Tell me something new. A gray-robed old man said impatiently. Hearing this, Taoist Mu was not angry. You probably know the name of the green willow demon saint. It can be said to be one of the saints with the strongest life force. After it fell, the blood essence left behind far surpassed that of the other saints, so the number of longevity fruit in this secret realm world is also the most. I even heard that these longevity trees grew at the location of demon Saint Lulu's heart, absorbing the most essence of energy and growing a large number of longevity fruit, enough for all of us to split 3 of them equally. Hearing these words, the eyes of the group of old monsters immediately lit up. All of them did not have long to live and their lifespans were almost up. If they could obtain 2 or 3 longevity fruit, they would definitely be able to extend their lives. This would greatly increase their chances of becoming a saint. However, at this moment the evil wood Taoist changed the topic and said, but there's a problem now because I heard this news from somewhere. It said that the Wolf clan's leader Wolf Garen has joined forces with many of his friends to search inside. It is said that they have been searching for 2 months, but they still haven't found it. However, they are not far from it and have already found some clues. If we go in as well, we might have to clash with them. Chapter 1738. Wolf clan leader Wolf Garen? Who does that old man think he is? In front of the longevity fruit he is all fake. Anyone who dares to stop us will all die, no one is an exception. The one who spoke was the long-browed old devil. He was brimming with killing intent and didn't place anyone in his eyes. After all, this was a fortuitous encounter that concerned one's life and future. Who could take a step back? Taking a step back would mean death. Lang Garen, right? I heard that his son Lang Jianghu was killed by someone, but he didn't even let out a fart. He didn't go and take revenge, but it turns out that he was looking for the longevity fruit. Golden Snake Prince cackled with a sinister glint in his eyes. That old bastard is very shrewd. So what if he loses his son? If he loses it, he can still give birth to another one. If he doesn't get the longevity fruit, his lifespan will soon be over. A simple wolf clan wants to take the longevity fruit for himself. Aren't you afraid that his appetite will be too big and he will die from overeating? We must obtain the longevity fruit, offending that Lang Garen is nothing. The group of old evil demons expressed their stance one after another, saying that they would advance and retreat together with Evil Wood Priest. Once a battle broke out, they would fight Lang Garen and the others to death. The longevity fruit is actually a small matter. The murderer who killed the young master of the wolf clan, Lang Jianghu, is said to be the successor disciple of the Heaven and Earth sect, Xia Ping. This brat has been in the limelight recently. I wonder if everyone has heard of him? The Blood Sea elders spoke up. They were of the same breath and branch and they spoke almost at the same time. Oh, Blood Sea elders, what do you mean? Priest Mu and the others narrowed their eyes, staring at Blood Sea and Blood Sea. Although that kid is just a junior, he has been very fierce recently. He can kill Transcendence Realm cultivators. In time he might become another Dark North Saint with unlimited potential. Blood Sea's two elders said, "Of course, potential or not has nothing to do with us. The most important thing is that he obtained the supreme inheritance of Supremacy Subadhara. He might even obtain the treasures on Supremacy Subadhara. This is an incredible harvest. Don't tell me you don't have any thoughts on this matter?" They stared at the crowd. "Of course I have the idea, but that brat is very slippery. It's already been 2 months and I don't know where he is hiding." Long-browed old devil had also looked for Xia Ping, wanting to kill him and steal his treasures, but he couldn't find any trace of him. "That's not a problem. There's still 1 more month. I believe that brat will definitely appear. These so-called peerless geniuses are all very proud and arrogant. How could they be willing to stay silent like this? There will definitely be a time when they come out to stir up trouble. At that time, us two brothers hope that everyone can join hands to capture and kill that brat." The Blood Sea elders stated their objective. "That kid is a peerless prodigy who has had countless fortuitous encounters. It's impossible for him to only have Supremacy Subadhara's legacy. He might have obtained other treasures as well. Killing him alone would probably be equivalent to destroying a medium-sized sect." "Oh, Blood Sea's two elders, this isn't like you two. You actually didn't take everything for yourself and even asked us for help. Are you afraid?" Golden Snake Roland's eyes flickered. "I'm not afraid. He's just a little brat. Although his talent is astonishing, he is still no match for us." The Blood Sea elders said, "The problem is he's the last disciple of Dark North Saint. Perhaps he has a trump card left behind by Dark North Saint. If we can't kill him and he escapes, we'll be in deep trouble. That's not good. However, if we have the help of our comrades, then capturing and killing this brat will be a sure thing. Once we obtain the treasures, everyone will naturally be able to divide them equally. But if we have the help of our colleagues, then capturing and killing this kid will be in the bag. Everyone will naturally be able to divide the treasures equally." Taoist Imu looked at the crowd. "What else can I think? If there are benefits, of course I will participate. As long as I find traces of that kid, I will definitely kill him. He is just a kid and he wants to cause trouble in the universe, obtain treasures and step on our heads. How can such a good thing happen? It's time to teach this kid a lesson about cruelty." "That's right, that human is too arrogant. He is showing off his abilities and his body contains an invincible aura. If this continues it will be terrible. We have to suppress him and rub his spirit. This matter is settled. After we finish snatching the longevity fruit, we'll go deal with that Xia Ping and teach him a lesson." TSK, what lesson? "If he meets us, I'm afraid he will lose his life. This is also his fate. It's easy to break when you're too strong. It just so happens that you can use it as a negative example to warn others." The group of old demons discussed animatedly, and with a few words, they decided to form an offensive and defensive alliance. They didn't put Xia Ping in their eyes at all. They treated him as a little monster in a game that they could casually kill and obtain countless secret treasures. "Kill them, Master, you must kill this group of old dogs. They actually dare to openly negotiate to kill Master. They are too arrogant, they are simply too arrogant. Do you think we are monsters in a game and want to kill monsters to drop treasures?" Hearing these words, the Green Bull was very angry and roared loudly. As its master, Xia Ping's fate was closely linked to its. Now, there was actually a group of demons plotting to kill Xia Ping and steal his treasures. How could this be? Instantly, an incomparable killing intent surged out of it. A bunch of old things who rely on their seniority. Do you think that just because you're a Thunder Tribulation Realm's supreme expert, you're invincible? Xia Ping, I must let this group of old dogs experience the power of the descendants of the Stars sect. Kill them until their blood flows like a river, kill them until they are terrified and don't dare to come out and clamor anymore. You still dare to say that you want to teach us a lesson? Who gave you the guts to teach us a lesson? Do you think you're a saint? If you don't show your might, do you really think we're sick cats? How preposterous. Corinne was also infuriated as he said coldly. No rush, let's leave them with their dog lives for now. They are still useful. Xia Ping had already treated this group of devils as a group of dead people. They actually dared to scheme against him like this, then they were his enemies. Towards his enemies, he naturally had to be ruthless and merciless and get rid of all the evil. There's no time to lose, let's go in. At this time, Taoist Imu and the others had already finished discussing the distribution of the various spoils of war. They formed seals with their hands and instantly activated a spatial coordinate here. Boom, in an instant, a force gushed out in midair and countless runes fell down, quickly condensing into a huge green door. The frame was engraved with many green patterns. This green door opened, and the passage was deep and serene. It seemed to be connected to a secret realm world. Everyone was delighted. Their divine senses were tyrannical, and they could immediately sense a rich life aura coming from this secret realm world. It was full of vitality and vitality. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. They didn't say anything and immediately flew in. Chapter 1739. This is the world formed after the fall of the Green Willow Saint, the Green Willow Secret Realm? Xia Ping casually came up with a name for this secret realm world. He passed through the green door and immediately entered. As soon as he entered, he discovered that this secret realm world was different from the world formed by the Venerable Sabatuo. This place was filled with endless mountain ranges. Moreover, it was lush and lush, with all sorts of towering trees growing in the surroundings. The trees were green and full of life, as if it was a paradise filled with dense spiritual energy of heaven and earth. He could even sense that this place was extremely vast and boundless. Vaguely, Xia Ping felt the world tree in the depths of his mind throbbing, as if there was some treasure in this place that had attracted the attention of the world tree and desired to devour it. Interesting, it seems like this world is not simple. It contains a big secret. Xia Ping squinted his eyes. He discovered that Taoist Yimu and the others were extremely fast. They did not even stop at this place and quickly left in 3 directions, as if they wanted to use their advantage in numbers to carry out a carpet search in an attempt to find the location of the longevity fruit. However, he did not follow the figures of Yimu and the others, because he had the wish compass in his hands. From the very beginning he knew where the longevity fruit grew, so he could avoid taking countless detours. A few days later, Xia Ping flew quickly in the Green Willow Secret Realm. After flying for a few days he finally arrived at a remote valley. This place was the final destination indicated by the wish compass. However, on the surface this was just an ordinary valley. It was filled with weeds and was no different from any other valley. Danger. However, Xia Ping's hair stood on end. The bloodline in his body was instinctively warning him that this ordinary place was hiding killing intent. If he was the slightest bit careless, he would immediately be doomed. Whiz. Without saying a word, he immediately activated the Hell Golden Crow's eye and saw through the void. Immediately, the space distorted as if a spatial formation was hidden. The patterns of this formation were imprinted in the air, forming a space of its own. It was completely natural and did not reveal any flaws. This valley was just something formed by an illusion, it was not a real space. In fact, if not for the Hell Golden Crow's eye, ordinary cultivators would not be able to see through it. They would only think that this was just an ordinary place and ignore it. This? Xia Ping's Golden Crow eyes of hell's gaze pierced through the void, penetrating through the spatial barrier. When he saw the real scene inside, his body couldn't help but tremble. Before his eyes was an expanse of blood-red space. Even the soil was blood-red, and it was completely desolate without a single blade of grass. It was extremely vast, and it was like a small world that was boundless. The surroundings were suffused with a desolate, ancient and desolate aura. However, what made his heart palpitate the most were the undead wandering around the Scarlet Plains. Some of them were headless horsemen who rode on black horses and wandered around the Scarlet Plains. There were also bladesmen holding treasured sabers sitting cross-legged on the ground, sharpening their sabers. There were some who wielded black spears and wore armor. They were currently advancing with large strides, practicing military formations. Each and every one of these departed spirits emitted a heart-palpitating aura. It was as if their bodies contained an ancient fiendish aura. Once it erupted, it would definitely be earth-shattering. Even Thunder Retribution Realm experts wouldn't dare to face it head-on. Xia Ping, be careful. These are not ordinary departed spirits. Corinne also saw this scene and his face was very solemn. These are the wisps of killing intent left behind by the saints after their death. They are immortal and will exist forever. Even if a Thunder Retribution Realm expert enters, he will be killed. This is a saint's forbidden area. Don't enter rashly. A wisp of killing intent left behind by the saints, immortal? Xia Ping was also shocked. He didn't expect that the saints would leave behind such a troublesome thing after their death. Previously, he went to the place where Suvartala Venerable sealed Mental Demon Venerable, so there was no remaining killing intent. However, the reason why many saints died was because they were defeated by strong enemies. Therefore, they were extremely unwilling before their death, and their killing intent soared into the sky, leaving behind wisps of killing intent. And these killing intents condensed into a substance, absorbing the matter of the void and the ancient fiendish aura in the depths of the dimensional space. Over time they turned into saint-departed spirits, unconsciously wandering the earth. This was the will left behind by the saints after their death, which terrified countless practitioners. It was also the most terrifying monster in the heaven-accessing place. Why are there so many saint-departed spirits gathered here? Xiaoping rubbed his chin. If this old man is not wrong, this scarlet plane should have evolved from the heart of a saint, so it contains a huge amount of life force. It also causes these unconscious saint-departed spirits to be attracted, thinking that this is their protected land. If any intruders dare to enter, they will be mercilessly attacked by them. Corinne Immortal voiced out his guess. The heart of a saint. Xiaoping squinted his eyes. His gaze pierced through the void and extended into the distance. He saw that in the depths of the scarlet plains, there was a small hill that was slightly bulging, like a heart, beating regularly. Every time it beat, it would emit a demonic sound. It was deafening, causing one's blood to boil and almost making one vomit. On top of the hill there were many blood-colored trees. They were 100 meters tall, and on top of them were densely packed blood-colored fruits. They were also like hearts, constantly beating, and the surface was densely covered with countless veins like flowing blood vessels. Longevity fruit. Xiaoping's eyelids twitched. He immediately recognized these blood-colored fruits as the famous longevity fruit. The surging life energy emitted by these fruits could not be concealed at all. He felt the blood in his body stirring, as if he was trying to devour these heavenly fruits. Xiaoping wished that he could immediately barge in and plunder all these longevity fruit, but seeing the undead saints wandering around him, he still restrained his urge. If he dared to pick these longevity fruit, he would definitely become the target of public criticism and be hunted down by these undead. Even though he was very confident in his own strength, he did not dare say that he could withstand these terrifying undead. Not to mention there were still many enemies in this secret realm. In the process of being chased by the undead saints, if he accidentally bumped into those enemies, it would be even worse. As the saying goes, before thinking about victory one must first think about defeat. Only then would one be undefeated in 100 battles. Looks like I have to find some people to help me lure these undead saints away. Otherwise, I won't be able to snatch these longevity fruit. Xiaoping rubbed his chin, his eyes revealing a trace of light as he thought of all sorts of schemes. Suddenly he smiled and thought of the evil wood Taoist, the white-browed old devil, the Blood Sea Elders and the other peerless devils. This group of people just so happened to be looking for the longevity fruit. Furthermore, the other party was also strong enough. It was obvious that he was a very powerful scapegoat, able to lure away these saints undead. Chapter 1740. At this moment, Taoist Mu and the rest were searching for traces of the longevity fruit in the Green Willow secret realm. Unfortunately, after searching for a few days, they still couldn't find any traces. Suddenly they couldn't help but feel a little restless. This won't do, Taoist Mu. If this continues, we won't be able to find the longevity fruit. That's right, this Green Willow secret realm is simply too big. It doesn't matter if it's big, the problem is that the longevity fruit grows in a secret place with a spatial formation covering it. It's very difficult to find and a month's time is not enough. Long-browed old devil and the others frowned, feeling that this was not the way to go on. Fellow Taoists, I've actually thought of this problem before. Lang, Garen, and that bunch of old geezers had searched this Green Willow secret realm for 2 whole months before they found some clues. It's impossible for us to find it within a few days. Taoist Mu also admitted this point and said, but don't worry everyone. I've already found some clues about Lang, Garen, and the others. When the time comes, we'll definitely be able to reap a lot of benefits by following them. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. So that's how it is. Hearing this, Golden Snake Prince's face lit up and he said proudly, looks like fellow Taoist Mu already had a plan. If that's the case, then we can rest assured. It seems like even Lang Garen and the rest of the idiots would never have thought that after working so hard for so long, in the end, it would still be for the benefit of others. The other demons all nodded their heads, feeling that it was more reliable to follow behind Lang Garen and the rest. After all, this news was first obtained from them. Moreover, they were very good at sneak attacks and stealing treasures from the shadows. They could be considered gatekeepers. Wait, there seems to be a little friend coming our way. Suddenly, Taoist Mu's eyes flashed, and the corner of his mouth revealed a mysterious smile. The other demons spread out their divine senses, and they also sensed a figure flying towards them from afar. It was as if he did not hide the aura that was being emitted from his body at all, and was very brazen. What an arrogant young man. He actually dares to appear in front of us alone. Are you not afraid of death? Long-browed old devil laughed, but he did not make any movements. This was because they all wanted to see why this young man was approaching them. If there was no other purpose, this young man probably wouldn't dare to approach them. After all, who didn't know of their ferocity? Greetings, seniors. A figure flashed and instantly appeared in front of Taoist Yimu and the others. Then he introduced himself. I'm Yin Shishing, a successor disciple of the Five Elements sect. This time I've come to discuss something with you seniors. This person's true identity was actually Xia Ping. He used the power of the non-phase mask to change himself into Yin Shishing's appearance to negotiate with this group of old devils. You have something to discuss? Golden Snake Prince sneered. You are a disciple of a prestigious sect. What else do you want to discuss with us devils? Don't tell me you want to discuss how to slay demons? He stared at Xia Ping like a venomous snake, his body emitting a cold aura. Senior, you're too kind. Actually, I didn't come here for any other reason, but to obtain the longevity fruit. Xia Ping smiled slightly and went straight to the point. Of course, I already know the location of the longevity fruit. What? His words were earth-shattering, and the old devils, who had been looking a little playful at first, turned serious as they stared at Xia Ping. After all, this was a matter of life and death, so they had no choice but to be cautious. Young man, you must not lie. You must know what kind of price you will have to pay for lying in front of us. Taoist Yimu narrowed his eyes and threatened. How could I lie? Don't tell me I don't know the strength of seniors? Pinching me to death is as simple as pinching an ant to death. Xia Ping was calm and composed. Since you know, why are you still so calm? Could it be that you have some trump card on you that makes you think we can't kill you? Long-browed old devil laughed coldly. He stared at Xia Ping from head to toe, as if he wanted to find out what trump card this brat had, to actually dare to talk and laugh in front of them, these peerless devils, without any fear. Of course I have a trump card. Otherwise, I wouldn't dare to negotiate with you all alone. Xia Ping revealed an unfathomable look. Is that so? I would like to see what trump card you have, and if you can withstand a few of my moves without dying. Golden Snake Prince laughed sinisterly as if he wanted to attack Xia Ping. Enough, this is a little kid. Don't scare him. At this time, Taoist Yimu stood out and played the role of the red face, while Golden Snake Prince played the role of the black face. They sang the same tune and said, but then again, since you know the location of the longevity fruit, why don't you take it for yourself and tell us? At the very least, you can contact your own elders and cooperate with us. He pointed out the crux of the matter. That's a good question. Xia Ping gritted his teeth. In fact, the reason why I was able to find the location of the longevity fruit was not because I was lucky. It was purely because I was following that universe sect Xia Ping and accidentally discovered the existence of the longevity fruit. What did you say? That Xia Ping also appeared in the Green Willow secret realm, and even found the longevity fruit? Is this kid's luck that heaven-defying? Taoist Yimu and the others were shocked. They never thought that even if this brat obtained the inheritance of Venerable Su Badwa, he would still be able to obtain boundless benefits. Now, he would even be able to monopolize all of the longevity fruit. Wouldn't that mean that all of the benefits would be eaten clean by this brat? I don't think it's because of his heaven-defying luck, but because he might have a treasure on him that can find traces of the longevity fruit. Otherwise, how could he have so many fortuitous encounters? Xia Ping laughed coldly again and said, to be honest, this brat is my irreconcilable enemy. He stole my future Dao companion Yi Meng Yao, made me wear a green hat, and even stole my good fortune at Venerable Su Tuoyuo's place. I can't take this lying down, I want him dead, do you understand? So that's how it is. The Golden Snake Prince understood what Xia Ping meant. That's why you didn't inform the elders of the Five Elements School. It's because the Five Elements School and the Heaven and Earth sect are on good terms, and if the matter of killing Xia Ping were to be exposed, you would not be able to bear the consequences, and might even cause a war between the two great sections. I don't know anything, I just accidentally discovered the location of the longevity fruit, and accidentally leaked this news to you guys. When the time comes to fight for the longevity fruit, what happens will naturally have nothing to do with me. Xia Ping acted as if he had nothing to do with it. TSK, after killing someone you want to stay out of it and pretend nothing happened. I never thought that there would be someone like you in the Five Elements School. Why don't you betray the Five Elements School and join my Blood Sea organization? Chapter 1741. Forget it. These days, everyone wants to beat up the devils. Only the righteous sects have a future. Xia Ping flatly rejected the other party's offer. Furthermore, I Yin Shishing am a disciple of the Five Elements sect saint. How could I abandon this identity and run off to become a devil? Do you think I'm stupid? He inadvertently expressed his disgust towards the demonic path. Hearing this, Taoist Mu and the others were immediately displeased. Wasn't this clearly looking down on them, the devil cultivators, and slapping their faces in front of their faces? However, they were all extremely shrewd people, so they naturally wouldn't show it at this time. They remained expressionless. Don't tell me you don't need any benefits for telling me this news, such as getting a few longevity fruit or something? Taoist Mu smiled and looked at Xia Ping. There's no need for that. As long as that brat dies, that would be the best reward. Xia Ping sneered and glanced sideways. According to what my master said, consuming a heavenly fruit like the longevity fruit is nothing more than a crooked path. If one's lifespan is up and they are unable to break through, then that proves that their talent is limited. Even if I can increase my lifespan, I reckon that I won't have much hope of breaking through the sage realm in the future. So I might as well just die. I'll just shamelessly live as an old bastard in this world. What? Taoist Mu and the others were furious. This bastard was simply using their intelligence to insult them. He was cursing them for being old immortals who lived shamelessly in this world. They had never heard of anyone who dared to scold them in front of their faces like this. Furthermore, it was so brazen and undisguised. Even though they were very shrewd, they were still filled with anger. Hihi, on the other hand, you're a disciple of a righteous sect. You don't even put the longevity fruit in your eyes. So arrogant, are you so sure that you can break through to the sage realm? The two Blood Sea elders gritted their teeth. Of course. Even a peerless genius like me, Yin Shishing, can't break through, let alone others. Xia Ping stood with his hands behind his back, his eyes almost growing on his forehead. He was incomparably arrogant. He was already immersed in his role, and even the best actor couldn't compare to him. To be honest, don't be angry. Right now, your realms are higher than mine, but after a period of time, I'm afraid you'll only be able to survive by my nose. You won't even be worthy to carry my shoes. Fuck, this son of a bitch was too arrogant. Was this the attitude of someone looking for a partner? The faces of Priest Mu and the others all turned green. Damn it, I can't stand this brat anymore. He's just a hypocrite from a righteous sect, yet he's actually so arrogant. Is he looking down on us? I'll kill him right now. The long-browed old devil sent a message through his divine sense. Fellow Taoist long eyebrows, don't be rash. The overall situation is more important. Why get angry with this little brat? The longevity fruit is more important. Don't ruin the overall situation. Taoist Mu immediately advised. Hearing the three words longevity fruit, the long-browed old devil's anger subsided. Indeed, compared to the longevity fruit, this humiliation was nothing. However, this Yin Shishing is really arrogant. Previously, when I saw him putting on airs, there were even rumors that he was an elegant gentleman, low-key and pure. I didn't expect him to be so arrogant. Hihi, this is the virtue of those hypocrites from the righteous sections. On the surface they look righteous, but in reality they are all prostitutes and thieves. They are even more ruthless than us, the people of the demonic path. Indeed, we're all killing people, but this brat is actually afraid of dirtying his own hands. He wants to borrow a knife to kill someone, how naive. I'll let him run wild for now. Once I obtain the longevity fruit, I'll teach him a lesson. This might also be a weakness that can be used as a threat. That's right. When the time comes, this fellow will know how stupid it is to cooperate with us demonic cultivators. The group of demons gritted their teeth and transmitted their divine sense. With just a few words, they had decided the life and death of the brat in front of them. Once they found the longevity fruit, they would destroy the bridge and kill the donkey. How is it? Do you want to cooperate? If you don't cooperate, I'll find someone else. For example, that wolf clan leader, Wolf Garen, is not bad, at least he's stronger than you guys. Xia Ping mentioned Wolf Garen's name. Oh, it seems like you have more or less some information. The Taoist of Mu opened his mouth and said, since you've already said it like this, I have no choice but to agree. Alright then, where is the longevity fruit? Just follow me. As for where it is, you'll know once you follow me. Xia Ping said. Why don't you believe us? Is this your attitude of cooperation? Long-browed old demon said in a strange tone. Who would dare to believe you guys? A bunch of demons. If you turn hostile, you won't recognize me. Just follow me, don't waste any more words. Otherwise, I'll terminate the cooperation and let you guys not even get a single hair. Xia Ping became more and more arrogant. Long-browed old demon and the others gritted their teeth. They were so angry that their teeth were trembling. How many years had it been? They had never suffered so much before, their faces had been beaten swollen, and they didn't look like humans anymore. However, for the sake of the longevity fruit, they still had to endure it and lower their voices. Let's go. Xia Ping ignored the attitude of this group of people and flew forward, leading the way. The Taoist of Yimu and the others looked at each other, and without further ado followed Xia Ping. Not long after Xia Ping and the others left, spatial ripples appeared in the sky in the distance, and shockingly, Lang Garen and the other supreme experts of the Thunder Tribulation realm appeared. There were a total of 20 to 30 of them. Their concealment abilities were simply too strong, even the supreme experts of the Thunder Tribulation realm were unable to discover them. Haha, Shadow Kill Old Demon, inviting you to cooperate was indeed the right decision. This magic treasure, Shadow Void Map, can actually completely conceal the aura on our bodies. It won't cause any spatial fluctuations, and even the supreme experts of the Thunder Tribulation realm won't be able to discover it. Lang Garen laughed out loud and looked at the black costume old man beside him. This is my honor, but we've been searching this secret realm world for more than 2 months, and we haven't even found a single hair. Now we've been found by 2 little kids. I really can't accept this. The black costume old man said unwillingly. It can't be helped. There are people like this in the universe. Their luck is heaven-defying. Treasures that others can't even find after much effort are easily found by him. Moreover, they are even offered to him with both hands. However, it doesn't matter. Finding it is one thing, but whether or not he can keep it is another matter. Wolf Garen laughed coldly, his killing intent surging. That Taoist of Yimu, the 2 Blood Sea Elders, and the long-browed old devil, this group of trash also wanted to follow us and reap the benefits. Little did they know that we had already discovered their whereabouts and were lying in ambush, looking for an opportunity to kill them at any time. I think they would never have thought that we would follow behind them and attack at any time. A supreme expert laughed. Alright, we found the location of the longevity fruit. Let's quickly follow them and catch this group of trash off guard. We'll take away all the treasures. Taoist of Yimu's group of devils also have a lot of treasures on them, so we can make a fortune. Chapter 1742. One day later. Xia Ping turned left and right, constantly taking detours, and finally brought Taoist Mu and the others to the front of the valley. We're here. Xia Ping said. We're here? What kind of joke is this? You brought us around for an entire day and you actually told me that this damned place has longevity fruit. Are you playing with us? Long-browed old devil's face was gloomy. He looked at Xia Ping with ill intent because in his eyes, this was just an ordinary valley. How could there be any longevity fruit? Killing intent surged in his heart, adding on the fact that Xia Ping had been disrespectful to him before. He wanted to crush this smelly brat to death even more. Long-browed old devil, to think that you're already so old. You've lived on top of a dog, haven't you? It's not your fault that you're ignorant, but you still don't know how to be humble. If you don't know how to pretend to understand, then that's your fault. Xia Ping said in disdain. What? Hearing this, long-browed old devil's hair stood on end. He was so angry that he wanted to make a move. But before he could do anything, Taoist Mu suppressed him. Fellow Taoist long eyebrows, don't be angry so early. Carefully sense this valley, is there anything unusual about it? Long-browed old devil's heart skipped a beat. Since even Taoist Mu said this, it seemed like this valley was definitely not ordinary. His divine sense continued to spread out, sensing the spatial fluctuations here. Sure enough, after a while, he discovered that this valley did not seem to exist in reality. It was just an illusion, and the surrounding space was folded, containing the universe within. There's a special space here. Long-browed old devil was overjoyed. He knew that a folded space world like this definitely contained a big secret. Even if there were no longevity fruit, there would still be other treasures. Of course, they didn't have a divine eye like the Hell Golden Crow's eye, nor were they able to see through the spatial barrier to see the specific situation inside. They only knew that there was a special spatial world inside. Could it be that the longevity fruit is inside? Taoist Mu and the others looked at Xia Ping, unable to conceal the excitement in their hearts. That's right, it's inside. Xia Ping nodded his head, but you guys have to be careful, that universe sex Xia Ping is also staying inside. That brat is not simple, he is extremely cunning, be careful not to fail miserably. He reminded Taoist Mu and the others. Just a little brat at the returning true realm. No matter how strong he is, where can he go? Do you think he can overturn the heavens? Cut the crap, hurry up and open the spatial passageway here, Enter and snatch the longevity fruit. The two elders of Blood Sea could not wait any longer. Don't worry. Priest Imu looked at Xiaoping smilingly. Why don't you go in and explore for us? After all, no one knows what's going on inside. If it's a trap, it won't be good for anyone. What do you mean? I worked so hard to bring you all to this place to snatch the longevity fruit, and you still want me to scout the way for you and be your shield? Isn't that a little too much? Xiaoping's expression changed. TSK, since you've brought us to this place, why don't you help us to explore the way and see if there are any traps here? TSK, since you've brought us here, why don't you help us explore the way and see if there are any traps here? Long-browed old devil laughed cruelly and stared at Xiaoping. As expected of a demon. You have no credibility to speak of. In that case, do you want to fall out with me? Xiaoping looked at Taoist Mu and the others. This old man has tolerated you for a long time. Since you've brought us to this place, then you're useless. Just surrender, this old man will take good care of you. The Golden Snake Lord laughed cruelly and instantly made his move. He struck out with his palm at a strange angle, like a poisonous snake, and his speed was so fast that even his divine sense could not detect it. This was his unique cultivation technique, the martial arts sacred art, Golden Snake Tyrant Heavenly Hand. I've long since expected you to go back on your words. Since that's the case, then I'm not worthy of you playing with me. As soon as he finished speaking, Xiaoping immediately took out a spirit talisman from his body. Small teleportation talisman. Boom, immediately the spirit talisman burned, producing a wave of spatial energy that wrapped around Xiaoping's entire body. In an instant, he broke through space and escaped 1,000 miles away. Small teleportation talisman? It's just a small trick. Do you think you can escape for 1,000 miles? Golden Snake Lord's expression was ferocious. He revealed a mocking smile and disdain. As a mighty cultivator in the Thunder Retribution state, his divine sense could cover millions of miles, or even tens of millions of miles. Escaping 1,000 miles was like a drizzle to him. He could capture the other party in an instant. Wanting to use a small teleportation talisman to escape in front of him was simply a dream. No, that's not right. That brat's aura has disappeared. Where did he go? How could this be? However, Golden Snake Lord's proud expression did not last long. He spread out his divine sense, trying to capture Xiaoping's aura. However, he was shocked to find that Xiaoping's aura had disappeared without a trace. It was as if Xiaoping had disappeared from this space. He even continued to expand the range of his divine sense. 5,000 miles, 10,000 miles, 100,000 miles, 1,000,000 miles. He expanded it to the extreme, but he still could not find any trace of Xiaoping. His expression was very ugly. He didn't expect such a thing to happen. That brat slipped away right under his nose and disappeared without a trace. The other devils also noticed that Xiaoping's aura had disappeared, and all of them frowned. This was beyond their expectations. You do have some ability. No wonder you're so fearless and dare to clamor in front of us. It seems like you have some ability to escape. Taoist Air Mu frowned. He had originally wanted to test what trump card Yin Shishing had, but he did not expect that he would still escape. This brat was indeed a successor disciple of the Five Elements sect. He still had some ability. This brat is lucky. If we meet again, I will kill him immediately. Long-browed old devil was filled with anger. Alright, that's just a small matter. The longevity fruit is the big deal. If you can't kill it, then forget it. Taoist Air Mu turned everyone's gaze back to the mysterious valley. What do you think? Could this valley be a trap? Golden Snake Lord asked. Hee, with so many of us in this place, so what if it's a trap? What trap can kill us? Even if it really is a trap, I will make the other party lose a mouthful of teeth and pay a heavy price. The two Blood Sea elders were bold and fearless. Since that's the case, let's go in and see what kind of abilities that Universe Sect Xiaoping has. He actually scared a Dharma Plane expert to the point that he doesn't dare to fight him head-on. He can only ask us devils to kill him with a borrowed knife. Taoist Air Mu formed a seal with his hands and used a secret technique. Immediately, ripples appeared in the surrounding space. He immediately sensed that a spatial node had appeared in the sky above the valley. It was a special passage to enter this mysterious space. Let's go in. Long-browed old devil and the others were already impatient. They quickly took action and entered the spatial node. Chapter 1743. There doesn't seem to be any movement. Priest Evilwood and the others quickly passed through the spatial node and entered this spatial world. They looked around and found that this was a blood-red plain. It was barren and the air of desolation was everywhere. It stretched as far as the eye could see. However, they could not see the existence of any saint undead, because Xia Ping had already set up a high-level illusion array in this space, concealing all of its original appearances. Of course, because Xia Ping had the non-phase mask, these saint undead without any intelligence could not detect that Xia Ping was setting up an array, and the progress was very smooth. And the power of this high-level illusion array also slightly exceeded Xia Ping's imagination, because this kind of illusion technique was simply too realistic. The fluctuations of the illusion technique and the spatial fluctuations merged into one, the combination of the void and the real, making it seem real and illusory. Even the Thunder Tribulation Realm's supreme expert would not be able to find any flaws, and would even think that this was a real space. A bunch of idiots. At this moment, Xia Ping had also returned. He was hiding in the depths of the array and watching the show from the side. Where is the longevity fruit? Long-browed old devil wanted to find the whereabouts of the longevity fruit, so he used his divine sense to search the surroundings. Look, isn't that a mature longevity fruit in the middle of the blood plains? Golden Snake Prince stared at the center of the plains and discovered that there were many blood-colored trees growing there. They were filled with fruits and were densely packed together. Immediately his eyes turned red. It is indeed the longevity fruit. I have seen it once and sensed its aura. I never thought that there would be so many longevity fruit. This time it's really going to happen. Even the shrewd Taoist Mu couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. His eyes were burning hot, and in front of so many longevity fruit, he couldn't maintain his composure. Damn it, there's a figure over there picking the longevity fruit. Could it be that little bastard Xia Ping? Long-browed old devil's face immediately darkened. He had long since treated these longevity fruits as his exclusive property, and now, there were actually people happily plucking the longevity fruits. This was like trying to snatch food from the tiger's mouth. Golden Snake Prince and the others also noticed that there was indeed a young figure there. His movements were extremely agile, and with a so sound, more than a dozen longevity fruit disappeared, probably into his spatial ring. Their hearts twitched, finding this hard to bear. Every time a fruit disappeared, they felt as if their flesh was being cut from their bodies. Attack, kill him and snatch the longevity fruit. Taoist Mu could no longer sit still. If this brat really picked all the longevity fruit and used a secret technique to escape, then they wouldn't even be able to drink a mouthful of soup. Haha, thank you fellow Taoists for leading the way. These longevity fruits all belong to me, Wolf Garen. Right at this moment, a wave of ripples appeared in the surrounding space, and then 20 to 30 figures immediately appeared. All of them possessed formidable auras, were arrogant, domineering, peerlessly violent and fearless. The leader of the group was none other than the Wolf clan leader, Wolf Garen. At this moment he chose to reveal his true intentions. Damn it, Wolf Garen, you actually following me in secret. You are fucking shameless, you dare to snatch my longevity fruit, I will not rest until your Wolf clan is dead, think about it. Long-browed old demon and the others immediately became anxious and started cursing loudly. They did not expect that someone would appear at this time, it was completely unexpected. Haha, long-browed old ghost, you're about to die and you still want to threaten me? Who do you think you are? When I obtain the longevity fruit and live another life, even saints will have hope. You're nothing. Wolf Garen sneered, he completely ignored the threats of the president, old demon May and the others, and instead increased his speed. Bastard, chase after them and kill these bastards. Taoist Mu and the others had gloomy faces. Their killing intent soared as they chased after him. Go to hell, Junior. I have now taken revenge for killing my son. Thank you for helping me find the longevity fruit, I will send you to hell right now. Wolf Garen's face was sinister, he clawed forward, the blood moon in the sky, his ferocious might was outstanding, he was merciless. The surrounding million miles trembled, as if they were all shocked by this blood-red claw. The air in the depths of the void exploded inch by inch, creating a series of explosions that shattered the vacuum. This was the strongest attack of a Thunder Tribulation Realm Supreme Expert, it could even shatter a star. Dong. The fake Xia Ping turned his head, his eyes revealing a playful expression. He did not dodge and allowed the claw to land on his body, causing his entire body to explode. Not only did Xia Ping's figure explode, even the entire world shattered at this moment, shattering inch by inch like glass. With a crackling sound, the real world was revealed. What? At this time, Taoist Mu and the others were stunned, they all stopped chasing. As Thunder Tribulation Realm Supreme Experts, seeing such a strange situation in front of them, how could they not know that they had fallen into a trap? In an instant this place revealed the true blood plains. It stretched as far as the eye could see, incomparably ancient and contained endless killing intent. A blood moon hung in the sky, deep and strange. So. The saint undead who had been blinded by the illusion and lost their senses had recovered their senses due to the shattering of the illusion formation. Like a sleeping tiger they were instantly awakened. Their black, emotionless eyes looked over and landed on Lang, Garen, and the others. Immediately, the hair on the group of Thunder Tribulation Realm Supreme experts stood on end. All the cells in their bodies were trembling, and strands of shocking killing intent filled the depths of the void, tearing through the void. This was like a group of sheep accidentally barging into a tiger's lair, and even waking up a group of hungry tigers. Not good. This is the undead spirit of a saint, a monster condensed from a strand of killing intent after the fall of the ancient saints. It is undying and indestructible and cannot be fought against. Golden Snake Gentleman couldn't help but let out a shrill cry. His entire body trembled in extreme fear. What's going on? Why are there so many saint undead in this place? Long-browed Old Devil's legs were also trembling. He no longer had any ferocious might, as if he was a mouse that had peed its pants. This is where the saint's heart is, and also the home of many undead. I knew that the longevity fruit wouldn't be so easy to obtain. Where it is, there must be a monster guarding it. Taoist Emu was also a little terrified. Bitch, damned bitchine Shirshing, didn't you say that this place was extremely safe? With that universe sex Xiaoping here, did he want to borrow a knife to kill someone? Could it be that the one he wants to kill isn't Xiaoping but us? The two Blood Sea Elders' faces were ugly, and they were incomparably furious. Haha, a bunch of idiots. Yin Shirshing is my good friend for many years, and the Heaven and Earth sect and Five Elements sect are also friendly sections. How could he possibly betray my whereabouts and let you devils know? At this time, Xiaoping's voice could be heard. He laughed heartily and was extremely proud of himself. Brother Yin and I worked together to set up a trap. I didn't expect you devils to be so foolish as to believe it. You're really blinded by greed. Chapter 1744. Ah, Yin Shirshing, Xiaoping, you two little bastards, how dare you scheme against us? How dare you? This enmity is absolutely irreconcilable. Don't let us escape, otherwise we'll definitely kill you and your friends and family. We'll execute your entire family, not even the chickens and dogs will be spared. Blood Sea and Blood Sea Elders were so angry that they almost went crazy. I didn't expect to be pecked in the eyes by geese all day long. You did well to trick us. I will remember you two brats. Long-eyebrowed Old Demon's face was very gloomy, as black as charcoal. He looked very calm on the surface, but he was already furious. If his anger could condense into a substance, this world would probably be burned to ashes. As an old demon, he had done all kinds of evil and plotted for many years. He had always plotted against others, but he had never been plotted against by others. Not to mention that he was tricked by two brats this time. This humiliation was simply indescribable. He had never been so humiliated in his life. I've long said that these sons of bitches from the righteous sects are all sinister and vicious. Not a single one of them is a good person. I actually foolishly believed the words of these two hypocrites and fell into their trap. I regret it so much. Golden Snake Prince looked up to the sky and let out a long howl. He regretted it so much that his intestines turned green. Previously they were still secretly laughing at Yin Shirshing, thinking that he was inexperienced and not worth worrying about. They didn't know that this was actually an act. It was just to trick them. They all thought that they were old and cunning, but they didn't expect to still be tricked. Good acting. Yin Shirshing is really good acting. He can actually trick us. After we escape, we will definitely treat this brat well. Evilwood Taoist gritted his teeth. His hatred for Yin Shirshing soared crazily. As a demon, he felt that he had lost all his face and suffered great humiliation. This was an irreconcilable hatred. Xiaoping. At this time Wolf Garen shouted, "Come out if you have the guts. Fight with me for 300 rounds and kill my son. Are you so cowardly? Old man, don't try to provoke me. Do you think I didn't find you hiding in the void? I just couldn't be bothered to deal with you. I didn't expect that just because I was too lazy to deal with you, you would stupidly jump into the trap yourself. You're really hopeless for stupidity." Xiaoping's voice resounded once again. "It seems that you and Lang Beijiang are going to reunite in hell today. It's here." A cold glint flashed in Garen's eyes. He seemed to have sensed Xiaoping's aura and instantly attacked. He struck out with his claw towards a corner in the east, causing an earth-shattering explosion and creating a huge crater. However, that place was completely empty. There was nothing there. The reason why he spoke to Xia Ping was because he wanted to find Xia Ping's whereabouts and completely kill him. It's useless. If you want to find out where I'm hiding, you'll have to cultivate for another 100,000 years. Besides, I'm not your problem right now, it's those saint undead spirits. Good luck. Xia Ping's voice was ethereal, as if it was scattered in every corner. No matter how hard Lang Garen and the others searched, they could not find Xia Ping's exact location. It was a mixture of reality and illusion. Suddenly the earth trembled and a series of hurried horse hooves sounded. It was hair-raising like the roar of war drums. It also sounded like a magnificent army galloping over. Murderous intent soared into the sky and ambushed them from all directions, shaking the void. Oh no! The expressions of Taoist Ermu and the others changed. In the distance, on the scarlet plains, a black horse galloped over. It trod on the void as if it was running on flat ground. It seemed as if the void had turned into an infinite land. Every time its hooves trod on the air, an earth-shattering sound would erupt, causing the hearts of countless mighty figures to almost stop. On the back of the horse sat a headless horseman. He wore black armor and held a black spear in his hand. He pointed at them from afar and charged over with a terrifying aura. Undead spirit saint, right? I don't believe that just a wisp of saints killing intent can kill me, a mighty figure in the Thunder Tribulation realm. A demon was enraged. Instead of retreating, he advanced and instantly attacked, trying to kill the headless horseman. In the end, with a thud, the headless horseman attacked and stabbed with his spear. A terrifying black light burst out and bombarded the body of the Thunder Tribulation realm demon. With a scream, the demon was shaken to the point of vomiting blood. His entire body flew backward and scraped across the ground for dozens of miles. A deep crack appeared on the ground, making a cracking sound. His internal organs were all severely injured. Even wisps of black energy eroded his body. His body was surrounded by the aura of death, preventing his body from recovering. What? Taoist Ermu's expression changed drastically. Although they already knew how terrifying a saint's undead spirit was, they did not expect that a mighty figure in the Thunder Tribulation realm would not be a match for it. He was heavily injured in one move. The gap between them was huge. They immediately realized that they might have underestimated this saint's undead spirit. It stayed near the saint's heart and kept absorbing the black aura in the void, as well as the power of the saint's blood. After millions of years, it was unknown what kind of terrifying monster it had become. Although it might not be comparable to a saint, ordinary mighty figures in the Thunder Tribulation realm were definitely no match for it. Let's go. This saint's undead spirit is too strong. We are no match for it. Lang Garen sensed a fatal danger. He felt that it was not wise to stay here for long. Moreover, there was a little brat from the Heaven and Earth sect eyeing them covetously. He did not know what he was up to. Staying here would only lead to death. Shadow Void Map. An old man in black received Lang Garen's instructions and instantly took out his Dharma treasure. A huge black scroll instantly swept up all of them. Then the scroll quickly dimmed and merged with the void. It became transparent and wanted to escape. But at this moment, the headless knight's spear attacked. A black ray of light fell from the void, cutting through the void. Swish! The entire scroll was like a piece of paper. It was instantly split in half. The middle was torn apart. It could not resist for even a moment. Immediately, a group of people fell from the void and let out shrill screams. Some unlucky mighty figures in the Thunder Tribulation realm screamed in pain. They were hit by the black spear light. Their bodies exploded into pieces and turned into meat paste. They died on the spot. Lang Garen and the others all suffered significant injuries. Their faces were filled with fear. When Taoist Ermu and the others saw this scene, they felt chills all over their bodies. Their hair stood on end. Despicable Xia Ping, you actually set us up here. I won't forgive you. I definitely won't forgive you. Just you wait. I will definitely make you pay a heavy price. A mighty figure in the Thunder Tribulation realm roared. He hated Xia Ping and Yin Shishing to the extreme. He was filled with grief and indignation. Mighty figures in the Thunder Tribulation realm, existences that were almost invincible among mortals, had actually fallen to such a state. Chapter 1745. Join forces. Join forces immediately, or we'll all die here. Taoist Ermu shouted angrily. He took out a green staff from his body, which was a peerless spirit artifact. He infused magic power into it and immediately formed a super formation. It released countless rays of dark green light that shot out. Seeing this, Blood seized two elders and the others also took out their magic treasures and used their full strength. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In an instant, the sky was filled with colorful lights that tore through the void. It was as if countless nuclear bombs had exploded, shaking the void and causing endless waves. Ordinary Thunder Retribution Realm cultivators would probably be turned into ashes in an instant under such an attack. Even if it was an ordinary planet that was hit by this attack, it would shatter into pieces, disintegrate, and collapse completely. But the Headless Horseman was just too strong. He was fearless. The black horse galloped over and rammed wildly. A layer of black energy appeared on his body, blocking off the void. Holding a black spear, he attacked. Endless killing intent and black murderous aura condensed in his body. A black spear light cut through everything, cutting through the void and destroying the earth. With a boom, all the lights in the sky were scattered and completely turned into nothingness. Clatter, clatter, clattered, the black horse trampled on the ground. The sound of its hooves was deafening like thunder. It leaped over and produced a ball of black light that spread in all directions like the ocean, destroying everything. Taoist Air Mu and the others were caught off guard. They were hit by this ball of black energy. It was as if they had been crushed by the ocean and hit by the current. All of them were sent flying, coughing up blood in midair. And this was just the beginning. The Headless Horseman stabbed out again with his spear. The void swept through and ghostly wails and howls could be heard. There seemed to be a huge army galloping. Endless killing intent gathered in the depths of the void. The clouds exploded and the wind and thunder shook. Boom! Immediately, 5 or 6 Thunder Retribution Realm cultivators were the first to be hit. They could not resist at all. The defensive spiritual weapons on them were easily cut apart like tofu and turned into pieces. Their bodies were torn apart by the black cold light. Their bodies exploded and blood spurted everywhere. They were sent flying in all directions. They were completely dead and even their primordial spirits were destroyed. So strong. Xia Ping, who was hiding in the distance, also saw this scene. His eyes widened. This was the first time he saw the invincible aura displayed by an undead saint. It was simply invincible. Furthermore, this was just a wisp of killing intent left behind by a sage, yet it was already so tyrannical that it could kill a group of Thunder Retribution Realm experts with a wave of its hand. It was no wonder that countless cultivators admitted that those below the Saint Plane were all ants. The gap between them was just too big. Run. Run for your life. We are no match for them. Heavens, how can a saint undead be so terrifying? It's just a strand of killing intent left behind by a saint. Why is it so strong? Is there still justice in this world? Taoist Air Mu and the others were scared out of their wits. Their faces were pale and they ran away like stray dogs. Balls of light covered their bodies and they quickly escaped. Clearly, all of them had used their life-saving long-distance divine abilities, disregarding everything else. These peerless demons were also experienced and knowledgeable people. They also knew that this was a massacre. They were not on the same level as the other party. If they continued to fight, they would definitely die. All of them didn't waste any time and fled in all directions. Despicable Xia Ping, you two pieces of shit, we will definitely not let you off. Seeing their current miserable state, Taoist Air Mu and the others were even more resentful towards Xia Ping and Yin Shirshing. If it weren't for these two sons of bitches, how could they have ended up in such a miserable state? Swish. At this moment, a few stones tore through the air and flew over, bombarding the other Saint Undead below the Scarlet Plains. Immediately, all the Saint Undead were enraged. There were actually people who dared to provoke them. How could this be? All of them emitted endless killing intent, tearing through the void and causing the weather to change. With their bodies as the center, the entire ground cracked, covering a radius of thousands of kilometers. Which fucking bastard is so immoral? Even at this time, he still dares to provoke the other Saint Undead. Are you fucking brainless? When Taoist Air Mu and the others saw this, they almost fainted from anger. Their faces turned green. Just a single Saint Undead was enough to make them flee like stray dogs. Now they had offended a whole bunch of them at once. How could this be? Even if they had 9 lives, it wouldn't be enough to kill them. Wasn't this like poking a hornet's nest? It's not me, it's that despicable Xia Ping. It's that fucking Xia Ping. He has nothing better to do all day. It's definitely that bastard who provoked us. He's afraid that we won't die fast enough. The long-browed old devil and the others were furious and roared crazily. They knew that this was definitely Xia Ping's doing. Xia Ping, you fucking gave birth to a son without a PII. I've never seen someone as immoral as you. You're even more vicious than a demon. You'll definitely die a horrible death in the future. A lightning tribulation realm expert was so angry that his head was about to explode. He had never hated someone so much in his life. But now wasn't the time for them to take revenge, because the group of Saint Undead was completely enraged. A saber-wielding undead leaped into the air. Its body emitted saber chi that shook the void as it attacked. A sword-wielding undead flew on the sword. The surroundings were filled with terrifying sword chi. Every silver-white sword chi could easily pierce through their bodies. These terrifying undead were completely alarmed and surrounded them from all directions. Run, quickly run, immediately escape from this world. These Saint Undead have no self-awareness. As long as we escape from this world, we'll be able to live. They won't continue to chase us either. Only by running can we survive. Immediately scatter and break up. Taoist Evil Wood and the others were terrified. They didn't have the courage to fight against these Saint Undead at all. This was because they weren't on the same level as these undead. Fortunately, this world could be considered vast and boundless. If they scattered and escaped, there was still room for them to escape. But even so, these Saint Undead were too terrifying. The black spear tore through the sky, and blood immediately splattered everywhere. The broadsword slashed down from the sky, causing the ground to crack for thousands of miles. Some of the Lightning Tribulation Realm's supreme experts' bodies were torn into pieces, dying without a complete corpse. With a flash of sword light, the heads of several Lightning Tribulation Realm's supreme experts were immediately sent flying. Their eyes were wide open, and their primordial spirits were completely destroyed. All of them died with grievances. The originally majestic group of Thunder Tribulation Realm experts was now in disarray from being chased and killed. They were utterly defeated. A good chance. However, Xia Ping, who was hiding in the shadows, sensed that this was a great opportunity. Because all of the Saint Undead had been lured out, the longevity fruits were no longer guarded by anyone. It was like an open door allowing anyone to enter. Chapter 1746. Longevity Fruit. Xia Ping came to the center of the blood plains. There were many large trees growing in this place, and on top of them were densely packed blood-colored fruits. They were the famous longevity fruit. Whiz. Without saying a word, he immediately searched and plucked all the longevity fruit into his spatial ring. I'm rich this time. Xia Ping was very excited. He carefully counted. This time he had obtained a total of 108 longevity fruit. If he refined them into longevity pills, then it would be of immeasurable value. Just as he was about to sneak away, the world tree in the depths of his mind suddenly trembled and buzzed. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. In an instant, green tree roots extended out from the void, and with lightning speed, they pierced deep into the ground. Just like that, they extended into the depths of the blood-red land. Xia Ping's eyes revealed a bright light. His divine sense followed the tree roots and seeped into the depths of the blood-red land, discovering that an empty space had appeared in the deepest part. In this empty space, a heart appeared. It was only the size of a fist, but it contained a terrifying amount of energy. It emitted an endless amount of heat that was even hotter than a star. In fact, this heart was still beating strongly, making thumping sounds. Every time it beat, it seemed to cause the void to tremble, producing an extremely terrifying destructive power. The heart of a saint. Xia Ping immediately remembered what this was. This must be the heart left behind by the saint, and this blood plains was basically corroded by the power of this heart. At the same time, the reason why so many longevity fruit grew in this place was because they had absorbed a portion of the heart's energy. It could be said that this was the true treasure of the blood plains. No longevity fruit could compare to this heart. Dong. At this moment, the world tree started to tremble. A dozen or so roots pierced through the spatial barrier and instantly pierced through the heart. At the same time, it produced a terrifying devouring power and absorbed the energy of the saint's heart. Rumble, rumble, rumble. However, this action also caused extremely terrifying consequences. The entire blood plain started to shake as if a huge earthquake had occurred. The entire space was on the verge of collapse, and even a murderous aura surged into the sky. Indignant roars could be vaguely heard from the depths of the void. It was as if the heart still had a trace of the saint's will left, and it did not want to die just like that. The undead saints who had been chasing after Priest Evil Wood and the others, heard this voice as well. As if they were summoned, they gave up chasing and returned to the center of the Scarlet Plain. What happened? Seeing these undead saints leave without saying a word, Taoist Mu and the others immediately heaved a sigh of relief. The uneasy feeling finally disappeared, and they managed to keep their lives. Something unexpected happened on the Scarlet Plains. The Saint Undead were summoned back. Wolf-Garen's eyes flashed. Damn it, it's that bitch Xiaoping. That bastard took advantage of the fact that we were attracting the attention of the Saint Undead to pick the longevity fruit by himself. He wants to take it all for himself and obtain all the benefits. The long-browed old devil gnashed his teeth in anger. Good plan, what a good plan. This is killing two birds with one stone. Not only can he kill us demons, he can also borrow our power to temporarily attract the Saint Undead away. He can go and snatch the longevity fruit by himself. He really got all the benefits. The two Blood Sea elders gritted their teeth. They had never suffered such a huge loss in their lives. They had actually been played around by a brat. This was an unprecedented humiliation. We definitely can't let him get all the benefits and let him eat it all for himself. After causing us to suffer so much, he still wants to get all the longevity fruit. How can there be such a good thing in this world? We must make this bastard pay the price. Wolf-Garen roared. His hatred towards Xiaoping had reached a level that could not be washed away by 3 rivers of water. Don't worry, this brat is too greedy, he still wants to take the longevity fruit for himself. Now that he has provoked so many Saint Undead to go crazy, I think it's his turn to taste the feeling of being chased by the undead. The Golden Snake Prince laughed coldly. In the blink of an eye, these Saint Undead were extremely fast, all rushing back to the center of the blood plain. The surrounding space was filled with a shocking killing intent, sealing off the space and causing the earth to tremble. Even the ground was shaken to the point that countless cracks appeared. Quick, hurry up. Xiaoping could naturally feel the endless killing intent of these Saint Undead, as well as their undisguised enormous power. However, it was also the time for the World Tree to absorb the energy of the Saint's heart, so how could he leave so casually? He made up his mind and channeled his mana into the World Tree, increasing the devouring power by 10 times. Boom! Immediately hundreds of roots pierced through the air and fiercely pierced through the Saint's heart. They produced a terrifying devouring ability and crazily absorbed the enormous energy of the heart. In a few breaths of time, the Saint's heart was shrinking at a speed visible to the naked eye. Boundless scarlet energy flowed along the roots and into the body of the World Tree. However, the World Tree seemed to have taken a complete tonic, as if it had been injected with chicken blood. Its entire body emitted waves of scarlet light, as if it was wrapped in flames. Its branches, roots, leaves and other parts also seemed to have obtained tremendous growth and were madly improving. When the devouring power reached its limit, a black hole appeared in the void, and the entire heart was devoured. Instantly, it was integrated into the body of the World Tree, as if it had been eaten and would be slowly digested in the future. Success. Xiaoping was sweating profusely. Seeing that the heart had been completely devoured and the greatest opportunity of this place taken away, he also heaved a sigh of relief. At the same time he also saw the Saint Undead charging over. In midair, beams of black light blasted over. They were like rays of death, interweaving into an inescapable net, covering the entire world and producing terrifying power. Formless Mask. In an instant, Xiaoping used the power of the Formless Mask and instantly escaped. He hid his aura and disappeared in front of these Saint Undead. He was so fast that even the Thunder Tribulation Realm powerhouses could not react. Dong. The attacks of these Saint Undead all missed and bombarded the ground, instantly raising thousands of kilometers to the ground. A huge crater was blasted out and the soil was burnt black. Extremely shocking cracks also appeared on the ground. Sensing the disappearance of the enemy Xiaoping's aura and the disappearance of the Saint's heart, these Saint Undead seemed to have gone crazy. They were completely enraged, like wild horses that had been freed from their reins, completely falling into a hysterical state. They scattered everywhere and destroyed everywhere, trying to kill all living things they saw. Chapter 1747. Bastard, what did that bastard Xia do? Why did he make these Saint Undead even crazier? Golden Snake Sire was so scared that his face turned green when he saw the Undead Saint's craziness. He had been waiting to watch a good show, hoping that the Saint Undead would tear that arrogant kid into pieces and take revenge. But how could he have imagined that the bastard kid would escape once more, causing the Saint Undead to be unable to do anything to him? Now they were the unlucky ones because the Saint Undead Saints could not find the culprit, so they found them to vent their anger and settle scores. They were looking for a pushover. Fucking Xiaoping, he has nothing better to do all day. After getting all the benefits, he left a mess for us to clean up. I told you that there are no good people in these righteous sections. Their hearts are vicious and they are even more detestable than demons. The Blood Sea elders roared. They could feel the killing intent of the undead saints. It seemed to be even more violent and intense than before, and it even contained a hint of madness. This was a sign that they were turning into demons. What are you talking about? Hurry up and run. Those undead saints won't listen to you. Wolf Garen shouted loudly. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Hearing this, the group of Thunder Retribution Realm experts could not care about anything else. Although their hatred for Xiaoping had soared to the sky, it was obvious that now was not the time to find trouble with this kid. One by one they quickly split up and fled in all directions. After the battle just now, they realized that these undead saints did not have any intelligence, but they had perception. Moreover, they were specially targeted at enemies with strong auras. The higher the cultivation, the more they would be targeted. Therefore, if they gathered together, it would be equivalent to a bonfire in the dark. They were like guiding lights, waiting to be extinguished by this group of undead saints. However, if they split up and fled in all directions, they would be a smaller target and it would be easier to escape. In fact, if they could, they would want to leave this space world immediately. However, they did not know when the entrance to this space world had been guarded by a few undead saints. They could not advance or retreat. They could only hide in this world temporarily. After all, although these undead saints were powerful, they were still undead. They had limited energy. After a period of time, their energy would be exhausted and they would naturally disappear. It was not a wise move to fight this group of undead saints head-on. Nevertheless, Priest Mu and his people greatly underestimated the powers of these undead spirits. This time they chased after them for 3 days and 3 nights, and they were almost chased by them in this world. No matter where they were hiding, these undead saints seemed to be able to find them. In order to survive, Taoist Heir Mu and the others had also used up a great number of magic treasures. They had detonated their magic treasures one after another, used up their talismans one after another, and used up their medicinal pills one after another. This had caused them to suffer heavy losses. They didn't know how many times they had cursed Xiaoping and cursed his ancestors, but it was useless. They could only hide everywhere. Dong. At this moment, the long-browed old demon was in a very sorry state. He was being chased by an undead saint wielding a long saber. His body was in tatters and there were numerous saber wounds and bloodstains everywhere. There were even strands of terrifying saber chi in Xiao Chen's wounds, preventing his body from recovering. If he did not find a safe place to go into seclusion and force out the saber chi, he would probably die from severe injuries. Fortunately, he was smart and pretended to be dead in time. Finally, he deceived the undead saint's pursuit, causing it to give up its attack, turn around and go somewhere else. When the long-browed old demon sensed that the aura of the undead saint had disappeared, he couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief. Great, I finally survived. The long-browed old demon gnashed his teeth. It's all that bitch Xiaoping's fault. If it weren't for him, how could I be so miserable? Just wait and see. After leaving the heaven-accessing secret land, I'll immediately investigate his family background and kill his entire family. He made up his mind to take revenge on Xiaoping. Thinking of this, he dragged his tired and injured body, and wanted to find a secret cave to hide in and recuperate. Long-browed Taoist friend, please wait. Suddenly, a voice sounded behind him. Who is it? The long-browed old demon subconsciously turned around, and his pupils shrank because he saw a familiar person appear in front of him. It was the bitch Xiaoping. Bang. Before he could speak, a spear pierced over. The long-browed old demon was caught off guard, and his chest was instantly pierced through and blood splashed everywhere. You. The long-browed old demon was dumbfounded. He didn't expect Xiaoping to be so cruel and vicious. Before he could retaliate, before he could fight back, he was stabbed to death by this kid's spear. He felt a stinging pain coming from his body, as if countless ants were biting him. Even his consciousness gradually collapsed, and it seemed that his vitality was quickly disappearing. Long-browed Taoist friend, don't you want to kill me and take my treasure? Do you want to kill my entire family? Don't worry, you won't have this chance. Go to hell obediently, Xiaoping said. These days he didn't escape but chose to hide in the dark, looking for an opportunity to beat the dog when it was down. After all, these were peerless devils, very cruel and merciless. If he offended them this time, he was afraid that it would cause endless trouble. Although he might not be able to kill all of them, if he could kill one, he would at least be less of a threat in the future. And this time he finally found an opportunity to kill the long-browed old demon. He remembered the cruelty of this devil who targeted him everywhere and even wanted to kill his entire family. Such a devil must not be left alive, so when he found an opportunity, he didn't hesitate to stab him to death with his spear. Despicable villain. The long-browed old demon was mad. If he hadn't been careless and sneak attacked from behind, he wouldn't have been killed so easily. Oh, so what if I'm despicable? Do you want to bite me? Xiaoping was calm and composed. There was no need to argue with someone who was about to die. I can't accept this, I can't accept this. I, long-browed true monarch, am a Thunder Retribution Realm expert. I have cultivated for 45,000 years, and I have hopes of becoming a sage. How can I die in such a small place? How can I die in the hands of a little brat? I can't accept this. The long-browed old demon let out a long howl, extremely unwilling. Noisy. With a boom, Xiaoping couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with this long-browed old demon. The hell spear in his hand trembled slightly, and immediately the long-browed old demon's body exploded, turning into a pile of meat paste. Even his primordial spirit was torn apart, and was instantly devoured by the hell spear, strengthening the spear's power. It emitted a burst of red light, incomparably mystical. Whoosh. Chapter 1748. In a mountain valley. At this moment, a lightning retribution realm old devil was panting and sweating profusely. His clothes were tattered and he was panicking. He had avoided the saint undead spirit's pursuit. After several days of fleeing, he had finally gotten rid of them. Just as he was about to have a good rest, he suddenly heard the sound of something tearing through the air behind him. Dong. He looked back and saw a brick falling from the sky, smashing into his head. With a crack, it completely shattered. His entire head immediately felt dizzy. Xiaoping. Before he fainted, the lightning retribution realm old devil screamed. He was so angry that he vomited blood. This was because he recognized the person who had ambushed him from behind. It was the universe sect Xiaoping. This damned despicable and shameless person had taken advantage of his weakest moment to launch a sneak attack. A brick had smashed into his head, giving him a fatal blow. The depression and hatred in his heart were simply indescribable. He wanted nothing more than to hack this despicable person into 1,000 pieces. As an old devil, he had committed all sorts of crimes and was proficient in plotting and plotting. Now he had actually been ambushed and fainted with a brick. This was a humiliation he had never experienced before. Unfortunately, he didn't have the chance to counterattack. This was because the moment he fainted, his entire body had been pierced by Xiaoping's hell spear. Even his primordial spirit had been shattered. The second one. Xiaoping was expressionless. After killing this lightning retribution realm expert, he had also looted this person's treasures. At this moment, Golden Snake Gentleman's condition wasn't very good. Because he was strong enough, he had also been targeted by a saint undead spirit. It was as if the undead spirit had a great grudge against him. It chased him all the way, leaving him with no way out. Dong. It was a sword-wielding saint undead spirit. With another slash, a terrifying sword light erupted. It instantly sent Golden Snake Gentleman flying, almost splitting his body in half. This powerful impact even caused him to skid across the ground for dozens of kilometers. Large amounts of blood flowed out of his body, and even his lungs suffered significant injuries. He felt that his lifespan was coming to an end. He couldn't escape the pursuit of this saint undead spirit. Brother, hurry, come over here. There's a safe place to hide. Right at this moment, a hurried voice sounded out. On the other hand, Jinshi Langjun was overjoyed. It was as if he had heard the voice of an angel, and it was as if he had obtained a precious treasure. At such a critical moment, there was actually someone willing to lend a helping hand. What kind of kindness was this? How could this be someone from the devil path? Even an angel wouldn't be able to compare to him. His divine sense had sensed that there was indeed a spatial formation nearby. It had the ability to hide the void and aura. In the distance, there was a small spatial gate that could accommodate one person. Thank you, fellow Taoist. I can't thank you enough. Sensing that the undead saints in the distance were about to launch another attack, Golden Snake Sire did not dare to remain where he was. He rolled and crawled, quickly entering the formation. As expected, the moment he entered, his aura was completely concealed, and the entire formation was hidden in the void. The saint undead soul seemed to have been bewitched as well. It couldn't track the aura of Golden Snake Sire. After wandering around for a while, it left the place and headed into the distance. Immediately, Golden Snake Prince couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. He could finally live. Fellow Taoist, thank you for your help just now. If it weren't for you, I'm afraid I would have been killed by the Saint Undead Soul. Golden Snake Prince turned his head and expressed his gratitude to the person who had saved him. However, when he saw the person's true appearance, he immediately cursed, "Fuck, son of a bitch, Xiaoping, how could it be you, you bastard?" His face turned green and his hair stood on end. He felt as if he had fallen into an ice cave. How could he be saved? He had just escaped from the tiger's den and entered the thief's lair. Isn't it me? I've been waiting for a long time. Golden Snake Prince, I'll accept your life. Xiaoping immediately attacked. Ah, despicable person. I won't let you off even if I become a ghost. Golden Snake Gentleman screamed. He regretted it so much that his intestines turned green. How could he foolishly listen to this bastard's words? He was even tricked into this formation. Now, there was really no response from the heavens and earth. He couldn't escape even if he wanted to. Where was the basic trust between people? Where did it go? Using his eagerness to escape to deceive him? Was this bastard still human? Even demons weren't as despicable and shameless as him. Boom. Before he could scream many times, his body was immediately blown up by Xiaoping. Golden Snake Prince was already an arrow at the end of its flight. How could he resist Xiaoping, who had come prepared? Naturally, he was easily destroyed. All the treasures on his body also belonged to Xiaoping. Originally, Xiaoping wanted to beat up a fallen enemy and kill a few seriously injured Thunder Retribution Realm experts. However, he discovered that after killing Golden Snake Prince and the others, the power of the Saint Undead seemed to rapidly dissipate. However, this was to be expected. After all, they were just undead. The power on their bodies wasn't endless and they weren't perfect creatures. They had gone crazy for 3 days and 3 nights, almost exhausting the energy they had accumulated for tens of thousands of years. Therefore, after such a long time, they quickly disappeared to recuperate. Great, we finally left. The power of this group of Saint Undead is indeed not endless. We still managed to wait until this group of Saint Undead loses their power. It's a pity that those fellow Taoists didn't wait until this moment. Instead, they were killed by those undead. They died unjustly. It's all that bitch Xiaoping's fault. If it wasn't for this bastard, how could so many fellow Taoists have died? Revenge, we must take revenge ruthlessly. The remaining Thunder Retribution Realm experts were overjoyed, as if they had been reborn. Then they thought of Xiaoping, the main culprit, and all of them felt immense hatred. What do we do now? Should we go find that Xiaoping? I think that brat has already escaped by now. Let's leave this place as well. There are no more longevity fruits here. That's right. I wonder when those Saint Undead will recover their strength. It's not good to stay here for long. Taoist Mu and the others discussed animatedly, revealing expressions of fear. Although the Saint Undead had disappeared, who knew when these undying monsters would appear? It was better to leave this dangerous place as soon as possible. What a pity. Seeing Taoist Mu and the other devils leave, Xiaoping felt that it was a pity. Originally he wanted to kill a few more, but it seemed that there was no chance now. It had to be known that all of these Thunder Retribution Realm Supreme experts were tycoons, rich to the point of overflowing with oil. Killing one of them would allow one to obtain a huge amount of wealth. An opportunity to easily kill a Thunder Retribution Realm Supreme expert like this was not something that could be encountered easily. However, he couldn't control this sort of thing, so he could only accept it. It's time to break through. Chapter 1749. Within the space of the Pearl of Mountains and Rivers, Xiaoping was in a state of seclusion. He consumed a large amount of medicinal pills and circulated his qigong, forming a solar furnace within his body to refine the medicinal pills and convert them into magic power. Instantly, his 9 nascent divinities and 9 violet palace spaces turned into vortexes, producing a terrifying devouring power that crazily devoured the energy to fill up the violet palace spaces. Before long, the 9 violet palace spaces were filled to the brim with magic power, reaching a state of perfection. The depths of the violet palace seemed to have turned into a boundless ocean, containing boundless magic power. Xiaoping could sense that the circulation of his qigong seemed to have formed a picture scroll, containing the starry sky, the golden crow, hell, and other phenomena of heaven and earth. These pictures formed a trajectory that was like the trajectory of the Tao, fusing with the power of heaven and earth, resonating with it. The mysterious energy from the depths of the void also seeped out and poured into his body. Dong. All of a sudden, Xiaoping felt his body tremble, as if some bottleneck in his sea of consciousness had been broken. The violet palace space that should have been at its limit was now expanding at a crazy rate. The magic power formed a vortex, constantly rotating like an awl, rapidly expanding the violet palace space, making the ocean even deeper. As the ocean rotated, it constantly expelled impurities, as if the magic power had become incomparably pure. Mid-stage returning truth realm. He could feel that he had broken through to a new realm, like water flowing when the conditions were right. There were no bottlenecks and his magic power and divine sense had doubled. At the same time, his 9 nascent divinities were growing at a speed visible to the naked eye, absorbing the energy of the void and becoming more solid. Even the divine ability talismans in his body rapidly fused into the depths of his nascent divinities. Countless runes appeared, shining with dazzling starlight, as if they had turned into a supreme scripture. If he continued to grow, his nascent divinities would transform and condense into a physical form, forming a Dharma idol of heaven and earth, which would allow him to communicate with the power of the void in the universe. Vaguely, his nascent divinities seemed to have the power to break free from the shell of his body and appear outside. Dharma idol of heaven and earth. At this moment, Xiaoping vaguely understood something. If his cultivation continued to improve, he could fuse the divine ability talismans into his nascent divinities and form a Dharma idol of heaven and earth. Moreover, he had 9 nascent divinities, which was equivalent to having 9 Dharma idols of heaven and earth. However, the amount of yuan qi that he needed to devour was simply an astronomical figure. It was so large that it would make one speechless. Even if an ordinary sect supplied it with all their might, they probably wouldn't be able to afford it. My divine sense has also been strengthened, and I can sense more dimensional spaces. Xiaoping also discovered that his spiritual energy had grown qualitatively. It had progressed by leaps and bounds, and his connection with the universe had become even closer. He could now perceive the various dimensional spaces in the depths of the void. It was as if at this moment, the energy of the dimensional spaces in the depths of the universe were calling out to him, causing resonance and vibrations. It was as if he could open a dimensional passage with just a thought. Dong dong dong. In an instant, Xiaoping operated his divine sense. Hundreds of dimensional channels appeared above his head, and a huge amount of dimensional energy poured down like a tide, pouring into his head like a ladle. And his body was like a black hole, turning into a Kuan Peng, swallowing and nibbling away at the huge dimensional energy as his own, transforming it into spiritual power, and surging into the 9 great purple mansions. The originally dried-up space in his violet mansion was replenished by this enormous amount of energy and was immediately filled with exuberant vitality. It even caused his origin soul to be nourished and become even more spirited. What kind of dimensional world is this? Xiaoping expanded his divine sense to its limit, penetrating the void and extending it continuously. He had a deeper understanding of the power of dimensional space, and he could also perceive the various dimensional worlds in the void. The fire dimensional space, the snow dimensional space, the earth dimensional space, the thunder dimensional space, and so on. Densely packed dimensional worlds appeared in his divine sense and were captured by his divine sense. But as he explored deeper, he seemed to discover even greater and deeper dimensional worlds. They were stronger and more mysterious than ordinary elemental dimensional worlds. Not only did those dimensional worlds have endless energy and dense spiritual energy, but they also had exuberant vitality, and could accommodate countless living beings living in them. They were full of spirituality. However, these mysterious and unfathomable great dimensional worlds were simply too far away from him. Furthermore, they seemed to have been concealed by a restriction formation set up by a mighty figure, so it was very difficult for him to detect them. Only some vague auras leaked out. For example, there was a dimensional world that was filled with darkness, killing, and other auras. It was incomparably violent, as though it was the Azura dimension. There was also a certain dimensional world that emitted waves of dragon roars that shook the heavens and the earth. It contained a supreme might, as though it was the dragon dimension. There were also some dimensional worlds that emitted cries of phoenixes, as though it was the phoenix dimension. Sensing these auras, Xiaoping couldn't help but have a thought in his heart. The nest of these universal races might not be as simple as a planet, a secret realm, or a continent. Perhaps they had directly occupied a dimensional world and obtained the endless energy of that world to reproduce. Therefore, not many people had been able to find their traces. But these things were still a little far away from him and he didn't want to care about them. He was still immersed in cultivation, constantly improving his cultivation, and comprehending the heavenly Tao. Infernal Golden Crow Bloodline. After advancing to the middle stage of the Returning Truth realm, Xiaoping also discovered that the Infernal Golden Crow bloodline in his body was also crazily awakening. The Infernal Golden Crow cells were unsealed, and a huge amount of bloodline energy was surging out. 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, 1 million. In the end, he had awakened a total of 3 million Infernal Golden Crow cells. His blood was surging deep in his blood vessels like a long river. Vaguely from the surging blood, there seemed to be Infernal Golden Crow runes surging out, merging into his blood. It also caused his entire body to be corroded and infected by the mysterious energy, showing a faint golden color. At this moment he seemed to have condensed the Buddhist diamond body. His entire body emitted a holy, solemn and powerful aura, as though a great god had descended into this mortal world. Obviously, the continuous strengthening of the Infernal Golden Crow bloodline had also strengthened his body, making it unfathomable. And just as Xiaoping was in seclusion, consolidating his cultivation that had advanced to the middle stage of the Returning Truth realm, Taoist Air Mu and the other peerless demons had all left the Green Willow secret realm. They were overbearing and furious as they searched for Xiaoping and Yin Shishing's whereabouts in order to take revenge. Xiaoping and the others couldn't find them, but Yin Shishing didn't hide his whereabouts at all. He was bragging everywhere on the internet, and soon the group of demons knew his exact location. Chapter 1750. Soon, Taoist Yi Mu and the others found Yin Shishing's exact location. At the moment, Yin Shishing was looking for treasures in the heaven-accessing secret land with a group of practitioners he had just met. Although the heaven-accessing secret land would end in half a month, they didn't want to waste time. They wanted to try their luck and see if they could find some treasures or something. However, Taoist Yi Mu and the others were all angry when they saw this. Good boy. You've caused us so much trouble and now you dare to jump out and chat with a group of scoundrels. Are you looking down on us? Do you think we won't dare to take revenge? A Thunder Tribulation Realm demon gnashed his teeth in anger. Seeing Yin Shishing's smug look in the distance, he couldn't help but get angry. If this bastard hadn't tricked them into going to the Scarlet Plain, they wouldn't have suffered such a heavy loss. Their friends of many years had died in the hands of the Saint Realm undead. This hatred was indescribable. I guess it's not that he's brave, but that he thinks we should have been killed long ago. Dead men tell no tales. That's why he's so arrogant and reckless. Taoist Yi Mu sneered. Cut the crap. Capture this brat immediately and peel off his skin and tendons before we talk. Wolf Garen shouted angrily, full of murderous intent. This trip to the Scarlet Plain had cost him the most. Several Thunder Tribulation Realm elders of the Wolf clan had been killed. For the Wolf clan of the Western Universe, this was an unbearable burden. If this matter was spread, he would probably be impeached by the Wolf clan elders, and his position as chief would be unstable. Yes, capture this boy and threaten Xiaoping to come out. We'll catch them all at once. A Thunder Tribulation Realm demon wanted to capture Yin Shishing and use him as a hostage to threaten Xiaoping. Whoosh, whoosh. As soon as he finished speaking, Taoist Yi Mu and the others took action immediately. They surrounded Garen from all directions, forming an encirclement. A terrifying aura covered an area of hundreds of thousands of kilometers, blocking every corner. Suddenly, Yin Shishing and the others were dumbfounded. Their bodies trembled as they watched the Thunder Tribulation Realm experts surround them with murderous intent. Their faces turned pale and ashy. They really didn't expect that there would be a group of Thunder Tribulation Realm experts lying in ambush here. Yin Shishing, I trust you've been well since we last met? You didn't expect us to be able to return alive from the Scarlet Plains, and not die at the hands of you and bitch Xia. Priest Air Mu and the others fiercely stared at Yin Shishing with a strong intent of killing. Whoosh. Immediately, countless people present looked at Yin Shishing. All of them came to a sudden realization. No wonder so many Thunder Retribution Realm experts had appeared. It turned out that they were all here for this kid. They regretted it so much that their intestines turned green. If they had known that the Yin World Star would cause such a huge disaster, they wouldn't have talked to this bastard even if they were beaten to death. Now, they were also targeted by this group of Thunder Tribulation Realm devils. The odds were against them. Seniors. Yin Shishing was scared half to death when he saw the auras of the Thunder Tribulation Realm experts locking onto him. His face was pale as he stammered, I, Yin Shishing, have been a good citizen since I was young. I've never done anything bad and I don't think I've offended any of you seniors. Did you get the wrong person? He felt like he was a little sheep being targeted by a group of hungry wolves. Wrong my ass. Even if you turn into ashes, I'll still recognize you. A Thunder Tribulation Realm devil cursed. You still say you're a good citizen? Do you have any shame? Even devils aren't as vicious as you. Even old devils like us have fallen for your evil tricks. Who would dare to look down on you? A red-clothed devil sneered. Continue pretending. Your acting skills are indeed not bad. You can even win an award. At this level, you can still pretend to be ignorant and innocent. If it wasn't for you and Xia Ping from the Universe faction deceiving us once, we might really have been fooled again. Taoist Air Mu's eyes revealed a hint of coldness. I swear to the heavens. Yin Shishing felt wronged. Seniors, Yin Shishing, have never lied to anyone. I've never seen any of you before. Did you misunderstand something? Don't fall for someone else's trick and fall for someone else's plot to sow discord. He was dumbfounded and didn't know what was going on. But when he heard the words Universe Sect Xia Ping, he instinctively felt that something was wrong. A sense of danger rose in his heart. Damn, this kid is amazing. He's already immersed in his acting. Even now he's still playing dumb. Even after being caught, he still refuses to admit it. Even a devil can't compare to his shamelessness. I'm convinced. It's not wrong for us to be tricked. He's indeed talented. A black-clothed devil was convinced. He felt that Yin Shishing's acting was really top-notch. He could be considered an old devil and was well-versed in the human heart. But now he couldn't tell whether this kid was lying or not. It was completely the truth. With a slap, Wolf Garen stepped forward and slapped Yin Shishing fiercely. What I fucking look down on the most is people like you who know your wrongs and refuse to change. You've already been caught red-handed and you still don't fucking admit it. You and Universe Sect Xia Ping teamed up to trick us into the Blood Plains, causing us to be chased by the Saint Undead, and even benefiting from it. You obtained a large amount of longevity fruit from it. Do you think you can get away with it just by playing dumb? What? Yin Shishing was stunned. I actually did such a fierce thing. I even killed a large group of Thunder Calamity Realm devils and obtained a large number of longevity fruit. Why doesn't he have any impression of it? Could it be that he lost his memories? When the gang of scoundrels heard this, all of them were taken aback. They looked at Yin Shishing in disbelief. They had not expected Yin Shishing to have hidden himself so deeply. Even these peerless devils could not see through him. Truly, one could not judge a book by its cover. If it was anyone else who said this, they would definitely not believe it. However, Taoist Mu and this group of Thunder Calamity Realm devils had been famous in the universe for tens of thousands of years. How could they come to this place to wrongly accuse Yin Shishing for no reason? Seniors, even though I don't know what happened, I can be sure that I'm absolutely being wronged. Because I'm mortal enemies with Xia Ping from the Universe Sect, and we're irreconcilable enemies. So how could I possibly help him? There must be a trick behind this. Yin Shishing shouted. Hee, at the beginning you also told us the same thing. You said that you and Xia Ping were enemies, and that you even had your woman stolen by him. You even slandered him on the internet and spread rumors. Taoist Mu sneered. At that time we were blinded by lard and we really believed your lies. In the end we were tricked and fell into your trap, causing the death of a group of fellow Taoists, causing heavy losses, and even the longevity fruit was taken away by you. Do you think we would still believe your words? Do you think we are stupid? Do you think we would believe a few random words? His body emitted a terrifying blood-red killing intent. This. Chapter 1751. What's the point of talking to this kid? Capture him, search his soul, and turn him into an idiot. Then we'll know whether he's telling the truth or not. Wolf Garen smiled ferociously and immediately attacked Yin Shishing. He didn't want to continue talking nonsense. Boom. Immediately he struck with his claw. A black claw shadow appeared in the void. It was covered with dense black runes, sealing the sky and locking the earth. This was the strongest attack of a Thunder Retribution Realm expert. The expressions of the surrounding people changed. They all knew that this wolf clan leader was serious. He was definitely not bluffing. 5 Elements Talisman. Sensing this dense murderous intent, Yin Shishing's expression changed greatly. If it was just Wolf Garen, he was confident that he could escape with his own strength. The problem was that Wolf Garen wasn't the only one here. There were other Thunder Retribution Realm experts eyeing him covetously. Without saying anything, he immediately took out a saint-level talisman. 5 Elements Talisman. This was a life-saving talisman that his master, the 5 Elements Saint, had given to his disciples. Everyone only had one and they wouldn't use it unless it was a critical moment. Clearly this was a critical moment. If he didn't take it out now, he would die. Boom. This talisman immediately appeared in midair. A 5 elements formation appeared. The power of the 5 elements, metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, gathered together and condensed into a huge millstone that kept spinning. It contained the power of the 5 elements, heaven and earth, yin and yang, 8 trigrams and so on. It had the power to destroy vitality and the power to move the stars. It also emitted wisps of Saint's aura. And this power attacked Wulfgaren and the other demons. It was earth-shattering, as if it was going to completely destroy this world. Dodge. Wulfgaren and the others' expressions changed greatly. They could feel how terrifying this talisman was. It was definitely an incredible trump card. They instantly dodged. Boom. The power of the 5 elements talisman exploded instantly, covering almost 100,000 kilometers. The ground was blasted into a shocking pit, and there were shocking cracks everywhere. Cracking sounds could be heard and dust filled the air. Damn it, he escaped. Taoist Air Mu's divine sense was sharp, and his expression was ugly. At this moment he sensed that Yin Shirshing had fled tens of thousands of miles away, disappearing from this place. Bastard. As expected, it was done by this brat. Earlier he was still pretending that he didn't know anything. These disciples from the Orthodox sects are all hypocrites. An elder of the Wolf clan cursed. Don't worry, the monk can run but the temple can't. Sooner or later, there will be a day where I will settle the score with these 2 bitches. Stealing my treasure, Wulfgaren, won't be that easy to settle. Wulfgaren was filled with murderous intent. As a werewolf, he was the most vengeful and vengeful. Even if he couldn't kill the enemy this time, there would always be a time when he could kill the enemy. As long as he didn't die, he would continue to take revenge. Who? At this moment, on the other side, Yin Shirshing had fled hundreds of thousands of kilometers away. He was hiding in a cave and panting heavily. He had used up a lot of his magic power. His face was pale and he felt like he had overindulged. In order to escape from the claws of Wulfgaren and the other demons, he had used up all his skills. Xiaoping, it must be that bitch Xiaoping. I don't know what that bitch did to harm me. Yin Shirshing was furious. He thought about how he was being hunted down for no reason, and was forced to use the only life-saving method that his master had given him. He suffered a heavy loss and suffered this undeserved disaster. He was so angry that he had nowhere to vent his anger. Thinking about the words of the group of demons just now, how could he not understand that the reason why he was being hunted down and misunderstood was all because of that bitch Xiaoping's plot? He didn't know what that bitch used to harm him and made others think that he was in cahoots with Xiaoping. In reality, that was not the case at all. Beep beep. At this time, Yin Shirshing's communicator rang. It was a call from the sect elder of the 5 Elements sect. He didn't hesitate and immediately connected to the communicator of the universe virtual network. Yin Shirshing, good boy. You really can't judge a book by its cover. I didn't expect you to be so fierce. Even Wulfgaren and the other peerless demons were tricked to death. As expected of a successor disciple of our 5 Elements sect. I really underestimated you. I thought you were just a coward before, but now I really have a whole new level of respect for you. The 5 Elements sect elder laughed. He obviously knew what had just happened. Yin Shirshing's face was very dark. Hearing these praises, he was not happy at all. It seemed that this elder had always looked down on him and thought that he was a coward. He opened his mouth and said, "Elder, it's a misunderstanding. In fact, I was framed. I didn't do these things at all. It was all those demons who framed me." Pretend, continue pretending. Everyone knows about this, so don't pretend anymore. Moreover, we're all disciples of the 5 Elements sect, so why are you pretending to be someone else? The 5 Elements sect elder obviously did not believe Yin Shirshing's words and said, "You can't be afraid that your longevity fruit will be asked for by the other elders. That's why you deliberately said such words, right? To be honest, in your eyes, are we that kind of people? I never thought that you, Yin Shirshing, would be such a person. This is truly disappointing." He was very unhappy. He thought that Yin Shirshing had said such words because he thought that he was plotting for the longevity fruit on his body. Of course, in reality he also had this kind of thought in his heart. After all, this was a fruit that could increase one's lifespan. Who wouldn't be crazy about it? Elder, no, it's not like that. Listen to my explanation. Yin Shirshing was anxious. That was not what he meant. If it's not like that, then what? Since you don't even want to tell me the truth, then don't say any more. Just pretend that we never knew each other. Goodbye. The 5 Elements sect elder was angry and immediately hung up. It's over, it's all over. Yin Shirshing's face turned green. He was not lying at all. Why did no one believe him? What was wrong with this world? Could it be that no one wanted to hear the truth? Other than this five-element sect elder, there were also a large number of communication requests. They were all from the various great elders of the five-element sect, as well as the successor disciples. It seemed that they all wanted to exchange for the longevity fruit with Yin Shirshing, and there were even quite a few beautiful senior and junior sisters who wanted to offer themselves to him, all for the sake of obtaining a longevity fruit. If he really did have the longevity fruit on him, this wouldn't be much. This would be the moment when he reached the peak of his life. The problem was that he didn't and was completely tricked by others. Even if he told the truth, no one would believe him. Instead, they would think that he was stingy and didn't want to hand over the longevity fruit. Immediately, many people felt resentment towards Yin Shirshing and became the target of the sect. It was as if he had been betrayed by everyone. It's all that bitch Xiaoping's fault, it's all that bastard's fault. How badly does that bitch want to harm me before she can let it go? Xiaoping, you and I will never live under the same sky in this lifetime. Just you wait, there will be a time when you are unlucky. Chapter 1752. The news of Xiaoping and Yin Shirshing teaming up to trick Taoist Yi Mu and the other demons and obtaining a large number of longevity fruit quickly spread out, causing countless people to know about it, causing a huge commotion. Have you heard? That Xiaoping from the Heaven and Earth sect has done something big again. I've heard about it for a long time. It's said that even the Wolf Clan, Wolf Garen, Taoist Yi Mu, Long-Browed Old Devil and the other Thunder Tribulation Realm demons were all killed by him. They fell into his trap and were deceived by him. They suffered heavy casualties and many Thunder Tribulation Realm Supreme experts died. This time that brat's harvest is astonishing. He obtained an immeasurable amount of longevity fruit and many treasures left behind by the Thunder Tribulation Realm Supreme experts. He simply became rich overnight. This is too unfair. Previously, this Xiaoping obtained the inheritance treasure of the Venerable Su Badwa, and now he actually obtained a pile of longevity fruit. Doesn't that mean that all the benefits of the heaven-reaching secret realm have been snatched away by him? It's said that Yin Shirshing and Xiaoping worked together to set up this trap. Is that true or false? I thought that Yin Shirshing was Xiaoping's enemy. He posted a lot of posts attacking Xiaoping on the internet, as if he had a deep hatred for him. Fuck, it's all an act. That Yin Shirshing is very cunning. The reason why he posted this post was to make others think that his relationship with Xiaoping was not good. Taoist Yi Mu and the other demons were just careless for a moment and believed Yin Shirshing's nonsense. In the end, they suffered a calamity and caused the death of a large number of fellow Taoists. Fuck, doesn't that mean that they set this up a long time ago to trick people? Fuck, why are these disciples of the righteous sects even more cunning than the devils? I believe that no one can believe the words of these righteous disciples. I can't even believe the punctuation marks. Otherwise, if I were to be tricked by them, I would still be helping them count the money. This world is too dark. Where is the basic trust between people? I don't even know who to trust anymore. Many people were shocked. They did not expect that only 2 months had passed. They thought that Xiaoping would go silent, hide, and peacefully wait for the end of the heavenly secret realm. After all, many devils were staring at him, trying to snatch the treasures on his body. Who would have thought that this brat wouldn't know his place at all? Instead, he had set up a trap and killed a large number of Thunder Tribulation Realm Supreme experts. He even took the opportunity to steal a large number of longevity fruit and reaped a huge harvest. This made countless cultivators jealous and envious. At the same time, they also made him realize how cunning Xiaoping was. However, that kid Xiaoping shouldn't be complacent too early. It's said that many Thunder Tribulation Realm experts are secretly searching for him. They want to kill him and steal his treasures. Someone sneered. Is there such a thing? This kind of thing is very normal. Who told him to have so many treasures on him? If we don't rob him, who else would we rob? That's right. Let's not talk about anything else. Just the fact that he has the treasures of Sabatala and the immeasurable longevity fruit on him is enough to make countless supreme expert drool. It's said that Yin Shirshing has also been targeted. If he dares to stick his head out, he'll probably be beaten until his brain juice comes out. How pitiful. Being targeted by so many almighty existences, I wonder if the two of them will be able to survive the remaining half a month. Many people were talking about it. On the other side, in a cave in the heaven-reaching secret realm, Yi Mengyao was hiding in this place, meditating with her legs crossed. She also knew about the recent news of Xiaoping. Accomplice? Accomplice my ass, I must have been tricked. Yi Mengyao had a strange expression on her face. She was different from the other ignorant people, but she knew the true face of this bastard Xia Ping. He was a super swindler, Wu Wudi. Furthermore, she knew that Yin Shishing and Xia Ping had not known each other for long. The two of them were like fire and water, so how could they possibly work together to cheat others? It must have been that bastard Xia Ping who had used some unknown method to trick Yin Shishing. The pitiful Yin Shishing did not know anything, and only helped carry a huge black pot, diverted the firepower and diverted the focus of attention, but did not obtain any benefits. However, she and Yin Shishing were not very familiar with each other, so it was not a big deal for the other party to be tricked. It had nothing to do with her. Moreover, she did not have the leisure to care about other things now, because she had advanced to the Thunder Retribution realm, and had already sensed that the heavenly tribulation was coming. If she could not withstand it, she was afraid that she would die. This was also a scene that all the powerful figures in the Thunder Retribution realm had to experience. In this realm, every time they broke through, they would encounter a baptism of heavenly tribulation. Only by crossing it could they survive, and if they could not, they would die. In the past, Yi Mengyao might have been worried about the arrival of this heavenly tribulation, but now she had infinite confidence. Because after dual cultivation with Xia Ping, she cultivated the telepathic heart technique, and obtained many of Xia Ping's divine sense of martial arts, and even a trace of the original Golden Crow energy from Xia Ping. At this moment, there was an infinite amount of heat in her body, like a star living in the depths of the elixir field, flowing through the extraordinary meridians, constantly strengthening her body and improving her aptitude. In this respect, the benefits that Xia Ping brought to her were too great. Therefore Yi Mengyao felt very complicated and did not know how to face it. But soon she threw these emotions away, and the most important thing now was to cross the heavenly tribulation. 10 days later, in the space of the Pearl of Mountains and Rivers. Phew! Xia Ping opened his eyes and ended the consolidation cultivation that lasted for more than 10 days. He had completely consolidated his cultivation of the middle stage of the returning nature realm, and his essence, chi and spirit had reached the peak state. At the same time, his 9 primordial spirits and 9 purple mansion spaces also devoured a large amount of energy from the dimensional space, transforming it into a huge amount of spiritual power, so that each purple mansion space was filled with the spiritual power of the sea, boundless. Vaguely, the 9 primordial spirits on his body seemed to slowly merge with his own divine sense formation, as if they were a lot more solid, and there was a sign that they were about to condense the heaven and earth Dharma idol, so that the primordial spirit was completely transformed. He felt that his spiritual power was unprecedentedly powerful, and when he punched out, it had the power to shake the world. Beep! At this time the system said, "Congratulations to the host, this time in the heaven accessing place, you have done something that angered the heavens and people, attracting a lot of hatred. The host's hatred has now reached 200 hatred crystals. I hope the host can continue to work hard." 200 hatred crystals. When Xia Ping heard the system's voice, his eyes suddenly lit up. Last time, the hatred crystals on his body had reached more than 160, and now it had risen to 200 hatred crystals. It seemed that this time he had at least gained more than 3 billion hatred points. This was not a waste of his hard work, and he had indeed reaped great benefits. With so many hatred crystals, he would be more relaxed and confident in doing things in the future. Wait, the world tree seems to have undergone a transformation. Chapter 1753. Boom! Without saying a word, Xia Ping's consciousness immediately immersed itself in his sea of consciousness. At this moment, the world tree had undergone a huge change. First was its size. It had grown tremendously and had already reached a height of 3,000 zhang, which was equivalent to a 10,000-meter tall mountain. The height of Mount Everest in his previous life was probably not as high as the current world tree. Its roots were also densely packed, taking root in the depths of the sea of consciousness. There were more than 1 million of them, and they permeated the void. It was as if every root was connected to a dimensional space, absorbing the energy of these dimensional spaces. In other words, the current world tree no longer needed Xia Ping's supply. Even without Xia Ping, it could still absorb endless energy from the depths of the void and slowly grow. Other than the astonishing growth in size, its entire body also seemed to be covered in dense runes, as if mysterious scriptures were appearing on its body. Every leaf, every branch, every root seemed to contain the power of the spatial world, emitting boundless might and incomparably mystical power. Xia Ping could sense that the growth of the world tree seemed to have reached a new height. There was a qualitative change and many mystical abilities had appeared. However, he did not know what the exact ability was yet. Furthermore, the energy of the saint's heart seemed to have not been completely devoured. It was still in the depths of the world tree's body, slowly refining and nourishing its body. Once the energy of the saint's heart was completely digested, the growth of the world tree would probably increase by another level. Xiaoping was very happy because the stronger the world tree was, the more benefits it would bring him. Master, the longevity pill has been refined. Right at this moment, the green ox seemed to have sensed Xiaoping's aura after he had finished his closed-door cultivation, and immediately sent a voice transmission with his divine sense. You're done? Hurry up and bring it over. Xiaoping was overjoyed and immediately said. When he was in closed-door cultivation, he had given all of the longevity fruit to the green ox and asked it to help him refine the longevity pill. He did not expect it to succeed so quickly, which was an unexpected surprise. Fortunately, I did not disappoint you. All 108 longevity pills have been successfully refined. The green ox's figure flashed and appeared in front of Xiaoping. It held a space bottle in its hand, which contained the longevity pill. These longevity pills had a faint golden appearance and were densely packed with strange patterns. They emitted a dense aura of life and stirred up the fluctuations of life. Supreme longevity pill? You didn't fail even once. Xiaoping was a little surprised, because the longevity pill would have different changes according to the alchemist's strength. It was divided into low grade, middle grade, high grade, and peerless grade, and the low grade longevity pill could only increase one's lifespan by 10,000 years. However, the peerless longevity pill could increase one's lifespan by 33,333 years. Master, it's just an ordinary pill. I've refined it countless times. It's not worth mentioning. Previously, when he had followed the mountain river saint, he had used countless spirit medicines to concoct alchemical pills. He had concocted them for free, and among them he had also concocted quite a few longevity pills, so he was already very familiar with this task. It would not be an exaggeration to say that it was a true alchemy grandmaster. This level of skill was probably the best below the saints. Let me see what it tastes like. Xiaoping took 3 longevity pills and swallowed them in one gulp without hesitation. Rumble, immediately these 3 longevity pills were rapidly refined by the sun furnace in his body, transforming into a vast amount of life energy that flowed into his limbs, bones, and even his cells. He could feel the life energy in his body increasing bit by bit. In almost the time of a few breaths, he felt that his body had increased his lifespan by at least 100,000 years. Of course, his magic power did not increase. These longevity pills could only increase his lifespan. But this was still quite incredible. It was a mystical item in the world and countless cultivators coveted it. However, a mere 100,000 years of lifespan was nothing to Xiaoping. Now that he had merged with the golden crow of hell's bloodline, his body already had a hint of the characteristics of a mythical life form, and his lifespan had exceeded the limit of an ordinary human. Right now, he could at least live for more than 10 million years, and increasing his lifespan by 100,000 years was only a fraction of that. Moreover, as he continued to evolve, his lifespan would increase even more. The longevity pills are refined. Looks like it's time to make a trip back to the cloud realm. Xiaoping wanted to let his parents consume these longevity pills to increase their lifespan, so that they could live for at least 100,000 years. Of course, this was only one of the reasons. More importantly, as his cultivation level increased, the trouble he caused would also increase. No matter how much he tried to hide it, the location of the cloud realm would eventually be exposed. When the time came for a group of enemies to attack, even a sage might intervene. Even the Skynet system would not be able to withstand it. Therefore, his return to the cloud realm this time was to settle things once and for all. Xiaoping planned to let Dumbo devour the entire cloud realm and move all the humans of planet Yanhuang into the Gaia space. He would then bring this group of people with him and make them his citizens. This way, even if the location of the cloud realm was exposed, no enemy could capture his parents to threaten him. He would only end up empty-handed in this place. Even if his identity as Wu Wudi was exposed and he became the target of public criticism, it did not matter if even the Qinghuan sect abandoned him. He could escape at any time. Anyway, with his current strength he could go anywhere he wanted in the vast universe. The current Xiaoping was already fully fledged and he was no longer an ignorant person. Beep. At that moment, the Supreme Ascension token on Xiaoping's body suddenly vibrated, and at the same time a mechanical voice sounded. The trial of the Supreme Ascension Mystic Realm is about to end. You still have 10 minutes to prepare to leave the Supreme Ascension Mystic Realm. All trial takers, please prepare to leave the Supreme Ascension Mystic Realm. Is it over? Hearing this, Xiaoping smiled slightly. He had gained a lot from this trip to the Supreme Ascension Mystic Realm. Not only had he obtained the inheritance of Venerable Sabaduo, he had also obtained a large number of longevity fruits. As a result, he had nothing to miss about this place. Leave. Thinking of this, Xiaoping first left the space of the Mountain River Pearl and kept all the treasures. Then he took out the Supreme Ascension token and activated it. Boom! Immediately, the Supreme Ascension token turned into a huge door of light, and a spatial tunnel appeared. This spatial tunnel happened to be connected to the location of the Jianghu sect. Without saying a word, Xiaoping stepped in and with a flash he returned to the Jianghu sect. He also appeared on top of Yanhuang Peak. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The other trial takers who were still alive in the Supreme Ascension Mystic Realm were also overjoyed. They left without hesitation, opened the door of light, and disappeared from the Supreme Ascension Mystic Realm one by one. Chapter 1754. On the second day after Xiaoping returned to the Heaven and Earth sect, many elders and even the sect leader of the Heaven and Earth sect immediately came to visit. It was obvious that they had heard the news that Xiaoping had obtained many longevity fruit and wanted to trade. After all, there were many elders in the Heaven and Earth sect who were very old and needed the longevity fruit to extend their lifespans. Of course, they did not dare to force him, and only said that they could use treasures to exchange. After all, no matter if it was status or strength, the current Xiaoping was not inferior to an ordinary elder. Xiaoping did not refuse immediately, he only said that if there was a treasure that caught his eye, he could exchange it. After all, he had more than 100 longevity Dan on him. Actually, he didn't need that many. If there were enough precious treasures, he would naturally be willing to exchange them. Hearing these words, they left in satisfaction, indicating that if there were any treasures, they would definitely come knocking. After dealing with the group of elders, Xiaoping also received a message from Dark North Saint, telling him to make a trip to Dark North Peak. Master. Very quickly, Xiaoping arrived at a quiet room in Dark North Peak. At this moment, Dark North Saint was sitting cross-legged on a praying mat. Immediately, he sensed that the aura on Dark North Saint's body was completely different from before. It had become even more unfathomable and illusory, as though it had jumped out of the 5 elements and was independent of the 3 realms. What's wrong? Dark North Saint looked at Xiaoping. Master, why do I feel like you're a little different from before? Xiaoping voiced out his doubts. Not bad, you can actually tell that your master is different. It seems like your cultivation has indeed increased very quickly. Dark North Saint was a little surprised and looked at Xiaoping with praise. Your feeling is indeed correct. Master has broken through these past few days and has advanced to a new realm. I've gained a lot. Congratulations, Master. Xiaoping cupped his hands in greeting. Dark North Saint was his master, and the more powerful he was, the more benefits he would obtain. He was very happy. Alright, stop flattering me. North Sea Saint smiled and said, but I know what you did in the heaven accessing place. Although you did a good job, you also attracted a lot of hatred. Moreover, a tall tree attracts the wind. From now on, I'm afraid your life will not be very peaceful. Maybe there will be many enemies coming to kill you. You must be careful. Moreover, I also have many enemies. Although these enemies can't do anything to me, they might have their eyes on you. You need to pay more attention to this point. Don't fall into the enemy's trap. He reminded Xiaoping of the danger. Yes, Master. I understand. Xiaoping nodded. Work hard on your cultivation. Try to reach the Saint Realm as soon as possible. I'm afraid your days of freedom won't last long. Dark North Saint said profoundly. He looked at Xiaoping with a distant gaze as though he was looking at the ends of the universe. After saying this, he waved his hand and let Xiaoping leave. Soon, Xiaoping returned to Yanhuang Peak. At this moment, he received a piece of good news from the green ox. The slumbering corpse beast had finally awakened. Without another word, he immediately returned to the Mountain River Pearl space and arrived at a valley, because that was where the corpse beast was temporarily placed. At this moment, Green Ox and Corinne appeared in this place, guarding the awakened corpse beast. This is a zombie beast? Xiaoping's eyes widened, because he discovered that the ferocious corpse beast had changed beyond recognition. It broke out of a meatball as if it had turned into a butterfly. It had actually turned into a 7 or 8-year-old little Lolita. She had a head of black waist-length hair, glass-like blood-colored eyes, porcelain-like baby skin, cherry-like small mouth and a small jade nose. She looked incomparably cute. And now she was wearing a black dress, Gotelli style. It seemed that this black dress was not simple. Its defensive power was extremely strong, comparable to a half-step sage tool, as if it was a defensive power that she instinctively condensed. Her body also exuded a faintly discernible dark aura, extremely dangerous, as if she was a dormant vicious beast. Her small body contained infinite power. Moreover, she was expressionless and did not say a word. No one could clearly see the fluctuations in her heart. Therefore, Green Ox and Corinne rushed to this place, fearing that this corpse beast would launch an attack. Moss Master. At this moment, the black-haired Lolita sensed the aura coming from Xia Ping and suddenly stood up. With a snap, her figure flickered and she instantly pounced on Xia Ping, hanging on him like a koala bear. Xia Ping was stunned, but then he sensed that he had an instinctive sense of intimacy with this black-haired Lolita. There was a close and inseparable connection between their souls. He could also sense that this black-haired Lolita was sentimentally attached to him, and regarded him as her closest relative. At the same time, he also discovered that the other party's mind was blank, as if she was a newborn baby, not understanding anything. Xia Ping thought about it and understood. From birth until now, the corpse beast had always been in a state of chaos. It didn't have any self-awareness and it would not have been born. However, after being controlled by him, the corpse beast's body underwent an incredible change. It also gave birth to self-awareness and underwent a huge evolution. Therefore, now was the moment when the corpse beast was just born, just like a newborn baby. Oh, that's right, I have to give you a name. From now on, you will be called Luna. Xia Ping immediately decided to give this black-haired Lolita a name. Luna? The black-haired Lolita blinked her big eyes. She didn't seem to understand the meaning of this word, but it didn't prevent her from imitating this word. After all, her IQ was too high, her memory was outstanding, and she had a photographic memory. Yes, from now on, you will be called Luna, but now I have to test your ability. Xia Ping touched his chin. He wanted to test Luna's current ability. After all, the corpse beast's current appearance was a little too strange. He didn't know how much of the corpse beast's power Luna had retained. Thinking of this, he grabbed a barbaric dragon rabbit from afar and used it as a test subject. Luna, turn this creature into your dependent. Xia Ping said to Luna. Dependent? Luna blinked her eyes. Although she didn't understand what Xia Ping said, she instinctively knew how to create dependence. This was the instinctive power of her body. Swoosh. She stretched out a finger and lightly tapped the barbaric dragon rabbit. Immediately, a mysterious black energy instantly entered the barbaric dragon rabbit's body. Immediately, the barbaric dragon rabbit let out a shrill cry, as if it was being corroded by the black energy. Following that, its body underwent earth-shattering changes. First, its body became stronger, expanding to 3 times its original size. Every inch of its muscles bulged and it was as hard as steel. At the same time, it seemed to have the power of gluttony. Its stomach was very hungry and it devoured food crazily. As the energy it devoured increased, its strength, speed, and physique seemed to be rapidly evolving. Chapter 1755. Very strong. Xia Ping's eyes lit up when he saw the rabbit's transformation. It had been an ordinary rabbit, but after becoming a dependent of a zombie beast, it had undergone earth-shattering changes. It was as if the limiter on its evolution had been lifted, allowing it to evolve rapidly. Its entire body had been transformed by the zombie beast cells, turning into a different species. However, it wasn't like it didn't have any flaws. Firstly, the barbaric dragon rabbit that had become a corpse monster's kin would no longer have the ability to infect others. In other words, the barbaric dragon rabbit that had become a corpse monster would no longer be able to develop kin, and it wouldn't be able to spread the virus. The only one who could produce dependence was Luna. Even the dependent's strength was limited by Luna. They would always be 1 level lower than her. Unless Luna evolved again, they would never be able to break through. But thinking about it, this wasn't necessarily a bad thing. After all, Xia Ping wanted to create a large number of subordinates and high-level fighters, not enemies for himself. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to control them. It wasn't a big deal even if they weren't infectious. He didn't want to become a terrorist or engage in biological warfare. Moreover, after becoming dependents, their life and death would be under Luna's control. With a single thought, they would die no matter where they were. This was absolute control. Interesting. At the same time, Xia Ping discovered an interesting phenomenon. It seemed that when dependents devoured large amounts of food and obtained energy, they would send half of the energy back to Luna, strengthening her and helping her evolve quickly. In other words, dependents were equivalent to Luna's clones. The stronger her clones were, the faster they evolved. She would also become stronger without needing to cultivate hard. Thus, developing countless dependents was the best way for Luna to cultivate. It was easy to develop dependents. Luna could produce 100,000 dependents at once, and as her strength increased, she could produce even more. I'll immediately develop a batch of dependents when I return to the Cloud Heaven realm and see how it works. Xiaoping was pleasantly surprised. He felt that Luna's usefulness was extraordinary. This was definitely the power of a large army. If they were developed, the power they could display would be terrifying. This was the creation of a new race. Haha, are these my new subordinates? So, suddenly a voice rang out. The person who had spoken was Tan Menglu. She had also appeared in this place. She seemed to have heard the news that the zombie beast had awakened and had quickly rushed over. Beside her, Gaia also followed. She seemed to be very curious about the strange creature that had just woken up. Master. Sensing two unfamiliar auras, the black-haired lowly Luna raised her head and looked at Xiaoping, then at Dumbo and Tan Menglu. Her eyes were filled with confusion, as if she did not know whether they were friend or foe. Don't worry, they're all friends. Don't worry. Xiaoping knew that this was the instinctive management of the zombie beast. If he was not here, Luna would have already taken action to eliminate the danger. Therefore, Corinne and Green Ox's worries are not unreasonable. She might look harmless now, but that was only because she was hiding her fierceness in this place. If she wasn't controlled, she would definitely be a super dangerous creature. Little friend, do you know that I'm the eldest in this place? If you follow me in the future, I guarantee that you'll have a good life. Tan Menglu patted her chest. She wanted to take in a lackey. Ahem. Dumbo coughed and cast a sidelong glance. Tan Menglu immediately felt guilty, like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. She had almost forgotten that there was a vicious and hateful monster here. She had no choice but to lower her head under the eaves. She changed the topic and said, Ahem, I was wrong just now. In fact, Big Sister Dumbo is the eldest. Tan Menglu am the second. In the future you'll be the third. Tan Menglu immediately ranked, establishing a master-follower relationship and confirming the status of both sides. In the future she would have a lackey to order her around. Thinking of this, she almost laughed out loud. Luna blinked her big pure eyes. She did not seem to know what ranking was, but the bloodline in her body seemed to be somewhat similar to Tan Menglu's, giving her a sense of intimacy. Little Luna, I'll protect you, Dumbo said to Luna. Dumbo said to Luna. She could sense that Luna and Xiaoping had a spiritual connection, and they were inseparable. They were on the same side. Xiaoping ignored Tan Menglu and turned to Corinne and said, Corinne, I'll leave Luna's teaching to you. You must make sure that she understands some common sense about this world. For the newborn Luna, everything was strange and curious just like a child. She needed a knowledgeable teacher to guide her so that she could grow quickly. There was no doubt that Corinne was the best teacher. He was not worried that Luna would not be able to learn because such a super creature's IQ was really too high. Even if there was no one to guide her, he estimated that she would be able to thoroughly familiarize herself with this world and understand a lot of knowledge in a few days. However, with guidance she would be able to avoid a lot of detours. Be a teacher? I want to be a teacher. Let me teach her, okay? Hearing this, Tan Menglu volunteered. She rolled her eyes and thought of a good idea. In the next class, she would spread the knowledge that she was a big sister to Luna, constantly brainwashing her so that she would always worship her. This way, her position as a big sister would be settled. Moreover, she would have a loyal thug. Go away, Xiaoping said snappily. If he really let Tan Menglu be a teacher, he was afraid that Luna's character would become crooked. In the future she would probably only be a foodie, eating everywhere and becoming a complete loser. Don't look down on people. Tan Menglu exploded and grimaced in anger. However, she was easily suppressed by Xiaoping, cutting off her idea of teaching and educating people. Later she angrily ate for food and ate dozens of tons of food. A few days later, Xiaoping cultivated in peace and consolidated his cultivation base. Luna's education was also on track. These days she followed Corinne and entered the virtual network world to learn all kinds of knowledge and common sense of the human world. It was estimated that after a period of time, Luna would be able to completely adapt to the rules of this world. At that time, she would be able to walk freely in this world without worrying about exposing her identity. Then Xiaoping stopped cultivating and came out of the quiet room. After a few days of rest, his essence, qi and spirit had also reached their peak state. It was unprecedentedly good. Therefore he immediately started the stars and returned to the cloud world. He was looking forward to it because he had not returned to the cloud world for a few years. He did not know what the cloud world had become. Whoosh! A spaceship immediately left Jianghu star and entered the endless dark starry sky. Chapter 1756. I wonder what the cloud realm is like now. Xiaoping stayed in the spaceship, feeling very comfortable. He held a glass of red wine in his hand, looking like a noble. We have always been in contact with the cloud realm. They also have a virtual network. I can tell you the specific situation of the cloud realm in detail, Corinne, who was next to him, said. No, there's no need. Let's go back to the cloud realm first. This is also a small surprise. Xiaoping waved his hand. Whoosh! The speed of the stars was extremely fast. It jumped through space and passed by planets. After advancing for many light years, the surrounding starry sky was still and unchanging. It seemed that it had been like this for countless years and had never changed. Such a spectacular scene made people feel relaxed and happy. Beep beep, suddenly the system's voice sounded. It was very urgent. Warning, warning, there is a strong killing intent in the depths of the void targeting the host. The host is facing great danger. Please be careful, please be careful. Please escape immediately. The enemy is not to be fought. It is suspected that they have reached the sage realm. What? Hearing this voice, Xiaoping's hair stood on end. His sixth sense was shrouded by the aura of death. He immediately jumped up from his seat with an extremely grave expression. Rays of light appeared in the depths of his eyes. There was an enemy attack, and it was even an attack by a sage. He narrowed his eyes. He did not expect such a thing to happen. He wanted to continue asking the system what kind of person had the killing intent against him and what kind of sage wanted to deal with him. Boom. Before Xiaoping could ask anything, just as the spaceship was about to leave the star field ruled by the Jianghu faction, a mysterious force suddenly descended from the void and sealed the area within a radius of thousands of light years. This area seemed to be shrouded by a terrifying energy. It was as if this place had turned into a swamp, and the spaceship was stuck in the mud. It was almost impossible to move. Even the surrounding void was sealed. There were energy barriers everywhere. Even if one wanted to jump through space, it was impossible. This was a fatal situation with no flaws. Whoosh! Immediately, a majestic voice sounded in the distance. He was wearing a red robe and carrying a long saber on his back. He had a full beard, and his entire body emitted an overbearing, violent, chaotic, murderous, crazy, and other auras. With his body as the center, the area within a radius of tens of thousands of light years seemed to have turned into a blood-colored domain. It was as if it had turned into a blood-colored world. Even the surrounding planets were affected. Under this power, mortals were almost unable to move. Even their minds seemed to have stopped working. Frenzied slaughter of saints. Xiaoping's pupils shrank. He immediately recognized the true identity of the middle-aged man in red robe in front of him. It was the enemy of Dark North Saint, the mad slaughter saint who had once launched an attack on him. Originally, he thought that the other party had already given up and wouldn't deal with him anymore. He didn't expect that the other party would directly appear in front of him and even attack him personally. This kind of killing trap was really giving him too much face. A dignified saint actually personally came to kill him, not caring about his face. If this were to spread out, his name would probably go down in history. Shio. The mad slaughter saint laughed sinisterly, the scar on his face trembled. It was incomparably terrifying. He did not waste words with Xiaoping. The blood-colored blade in his hand slashed down from the sky. Suddenly, a saber light swept past without a sound. It was as if the universe had been split into two by this saber light. It was like an aurora in the extreme realm of the universe, an eternal light. It was brilliant, beautiful, and moving, but it contained an aura of death and desolation. Wherever this blade went, planets and meteorites were easily cut in half, and the surrounding matter was instantly shaken into powder. Moreover, the speed was unbelievably fast. It was as if time had stopped at this moment. His pupils had just seen the blood-colored blade slash down, but the saber light had already reached his side. Xiaoping's hair stood on end. He had never felt so close to death before. It was as if at this moment, his soul had already seen the existence of the hell plane, saw the bridge of helplessness, and the underworld river waving at him. At this critical moment, the infernal golden crow bloodline in his body activated, and the flames in the depths of the void burned, shattering the void. This also allowed him to break free from the shackles a little, and his body recovered a little bit of mobility. With a move of his mind, a talisman immediately flew out from his body. It was the life-saving trump card that Dark North Saint had given him, the Saint Talisman. Boom! Suddenly the talisman tore through the void and expanded with the wind, instantly enveloping the entire spaceship. A mysterious and powerful spatial energy enveloped the surroundings, forming an absolute space. Outside this power, densely packed runes appeared, forming a supreme scripture. It was branded in the void, emitting an extremely tyrannical aura of a saint. Dong. At this moment, the blood-colored blade slashed down, fiercely striking the Saint Talisman. Immediately, sparks flew, clanging sounds rang out, and the void trembled. The Saint Talisman instantly obliterated the power of the blood-colored blade light. The entire spaceship trembled, but the people inside were unharmed. Humph, Dark North Saint really left behind a trump card. Does he value his disciple that much? Mad Slaughter Saint raised his eyebrows, narrowed his eyes and sneered. He seemed to have expected this, knowing that his attack might not be able to kill this junior. At this moment, Dark North Saint, who was staying on the dark north peak of Jianghu Star, sensed this wisp of aura. He suddenly opened his eyes, piercing through the void, emitting a terrifying holy light that penetrated countless light years. His gaze fell down and arrived beside Xiaoping. Mad Slaughter, how dare you? I chopped off an arm and you fled in panic. You actually didn't tuck your tail between your legs and struggled at death's door. Now you actually dare to come out and kill my disciple. Do you really want to die? A voice descended from the void, shaking the void. Even the vacuum showed signs of buzzing, and the surrounding planets showed signs of shattering. He was clearly still countless light years away, but his voice was transmitted directly from the void, as if his real body had descended. This mystique was simply unheard of. Dark North Saint. Hearing this, Mad Slaughter Saint roared, and the emotions of old and new hatred surged. I can't forget the hatred you gave me for cutting off my arm. It's like maggots in my bones, constantly tormenting my heart. If I don't get my revenge, I won't be able to live under the same sky. Although I'm not your match and can't kill you, I can kill your disciple and let you have a taste of what it means to have your disciple die. I want you to watch your disciple die. You can't stop me. He went completely mad and swore to take revenge. The aura on his body rose to the peak, and a blade slashed down from the void. It seemed to be more than 10 times stronger than before. What? Chapter 1757. Whoosh. At that moment, a door of light appeared in the depths of the void. It tore through the void and created a spatial passageway. Then, a figure walked out of the void and arrived in front of the stars. As soon as this figure appeared, he stood in the void as if he represented the pinnacle of everything. Even the great Tao was suppressed. He was a complete god with boundless divine might. Dark North Saint. The moment Saint Kuangtu attacked, he instantly arrived at this place. He did not make any movements. He merely raised his hand and slapped out silently. Dong. Immediately, the terrifying blood-colored blade chi turned into nothingness and was completely shattered. Even the power behind him dissipated and was completely absorbed. No aftershocks of power spread out. The myriad stars did not feel any ripples at all. The control of this power was amazing. Impossible, your main body is far away in Jianghu Star. How could you arrive here in an instant? Saint Kuangtu could not believe that Dark North Saint's speed was so fast. He originally thought that he could delay Dark North Saint for a few seconds. Within a few seconds he could kill Xiaoping dozens of times. However, he did not expect that he could not delay even a second. Xiaoping instantly traveled through the void and appeared in front of him, blocking his blade. How could a shameless person like you understand the mysteries of the Tao? Kuangtu, you are already behind the times. Now is not the time for old saints like you to run amok. Dark North Saint stood with his hands behind his back, his face expressionless. However, you actually dared to attack my disciple and even dared to show your true body. It seems that you want to die. Last time, I only left you with an arm. This time you will leave your life behind. His tone was indifferent, but it contained endless killing intent. He wanted Saint Kuangtu's life. Shameless boasting. Dark North Old Ghost, you think you can take my life? Hearing this, Saint Kuangtu laughed as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. Do you think I didn't make any preparations this time? Since I dared to attack, I was fully prepared. My main goal today is not to kill your disciple but to kill you. Boom. As soon as he finished speaking, the depths of the void shook and many void doors appeared. Then, terrifying auras descended from the depths of the void and 3 figures appeared. These figures emitted terrifying auras. They were all saints. For saints, Xia Ping's pupils constricted. He sensed that something was wrong. It was obvious that the mad slaughter saint had used the opportunity to kill him to set up a trap. He had contacted the other 3 saints to kill the Dark North Saint. With 4 sages ganging up on one, it seemed like things were going to be bad for him today. Thunder Barbarian Saint, Ice Demon Saint and Black Fiend Ancestor. Dark North Saint's expression was still very calm as he recognized the true identities of the other 3 saints. You guys can also be considered to be big shots of a region, but you were actually persuaded by this stray dog to deal with this old man. It seems like this old man Kuang Tu also paid a great price. There is a price, but it is not enough to kill a sage. The Thunder Barbarian Saint said, Old Ghost Dark North, the threat you pose is too great. You're just a new saint, yet you're so arrogant and overbearing. If you're allowed to grow, what will happen? In the future, will there still be a place for us, the great races of the southern universe? Your Heaven and Earth sect has been very overbearing recently. That's right. The Ice Demon Saint's eyes contained a trace of coldness, as if it was ice that would not melt for 10,000 years. Old Ghost Dark North, we have long wanted your life. The Eastern Universe cannot have another invincible saint. Today I will bury you and your disciple in the depths of the universe. The Eastern Universe does not need strong people like you to appear. Tisk Tsk Old Geezer Dark North, I am very interested in your body. After killing you, I will refine your body into a puppet. That will be the strongest fighting force under me. You should feel honored. The Black Fiend Ancestor laughed. Old Ghost Dark North, do you see that? This is the general trend. The people who want to kill you are like carps crossing the river. You have already become the target of public criticism. Today is the day you die. The Mad Slaughter Saint was in high spirits. With the 3 sages supporting him, no matter how strong Dark North Saint was, he would not be able to escape death today. He could also take his revenge. Go to hell. In an instant, the Thunder Barbarian Saint attacked. He seemed to have caught a trace of the Dark North Saint's weakness. The Thunder Barbarian Divine Fist. This punch contained the power of thunder that could destroy the world. It seemed to have condensed into a great path of thunder. The surrounding thousands of light years were filled with the power of the thunder retribution, communicating with the thunder dimension. In an instant, countless thunderbolts danced and turned into thunder dragons. It was as if the end of the world had arrived, destroying everything. No matter what material it was, it would be destroyed under the thunder. Even this punch contained supreme brute force. It was earth-shattering and twisted the universe. It was as if the power of savagery was added to his body, and the entire space was destroyed. This was the attack of a sage, a sure kill punch. But all of a sudden, Dark North Saint's eyes shone with a terrifying light. With a swoosh, his body disappeared into the void, disappearing without a trace. This speed was so fast that even the sages could not catch it. It was as if he had merged into the waves of the void and no one could detect him. In the next second, his body appeared in front of the Thunder Barbarian Saint and he punched with his bare hands. Dong. In an instant, the Thunder Barbarian Saint's pupils shrank. He was terrified to the extreme, as if he could not believe what had happened in front of him. It was because he did not even know how the Dark North Saint had appeared in front of him, and how the other party had broken through the defense of his body. It had to be known that he was proficient in the magic of thunder. With his body as the center, the surrounding tens of thousands of light years were covered by the power of thunder, creating a terrifying magnetic field. The void was distorted and thousands of layers were stacked together. If one wanted to attack his body, one would need to pass through the blockade of hundreds of millions of thunder powers and countless layers of spatial folding to be able to reach him. But now, with just one step, the Dark North Saint had ignored his space defense and thunder defense and reached him in an instant. This made him inexplicably shocked and unable to understand. Then, before he could think of a way to fight back, the Dark North Saint's fist came smashing over. Boom. It was this punch that was earth-shattering, destroyed the ages and pierced through the void. His body was like glass, shattering inch by inch and turning into powder. In this world, only his fire of the soul was left. Impossible? Just one punch and my body was blown up. I couldn't fight back at all. How is this possible? How is this possible? This joke is too big. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.